Blissful Bookshelf. Chapter 383, Visiting the Luo Family. Chapter 383, Visiting the Luo Family. Inside the courtyard, Jian Wushuang sat at a stone table, looking at Lin Lan, who was practicing sword arts. Each move she brandished moved the power of heaven and earth and contained world origin. "Have a break," Jian Wushuang suddenly said. "Master." Lin Lan stopped and looked over at Jian Wushuang. "You're quite good at sword principle but weak at offense." Jian Wushuang said, "I know a sword skill of world origin, not recorded in an origin manual. I will demonstrate this now. Look carefully." Jian Wushuang showed it right away. What he displayed was a superior second-grade sword technique, called Sword World. Jian Wushuang had been staying in the Sword Tower of Ancestors' Land for a whole year and meditated on a lot of sword skills, including some sword skills of world origin, among which Sword World was at the highest grade. In a moment, Jian Wushuang finished the first 3 movements of Sword World. He explained each move while performing, so as to help Jian Lan understand it more deeply. "That's it. Practice and study by yourself and come to me if you have any questions," Jian Wushuang said. "Yes." Lin Lan nodded. While at this moment, they heard some footsteps. Lei Yun hurriedly ran in. "Miss Lanner, Mr. Swordsman." Lei Yun went in the courtyard and bowed, said, "Luo Hai, of Luo family, comes." "What?" Lin Lan was surprised. Jian Wushuang also frowned slightly. Lots of footsteps and other voices came from outside. "Master Luo Hai, it's a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding? She has refused in public, what do you want to explain?" "Master Luo Hai, it's not what you think, we didn't mean to." I don't care. I want to know how dare she refuses the engagement." The voices were getting louder. Soon many people rushed into the courtyard. First came an unruly, insidious and supercilious man, followed by a purple-clothed elder who had already reached the Saint Realm. Lin families including Lin Xian and First Madam also walked in and then stood aside. Lin Xian looked embarrassed, while First Madam's face was cold with cruelty in her eyes. As soon as he rushed into the courtyard, Luo Hai was surprised to find that Lin Lan was beautiful. "I heard you were a beauty." "You really are, and you are also a genius. I like this," Luo Hai said with an evil smile. "What does Master Luo Hai come for?" Lin Lan asked coldly. He, of course I came for our engagement," Luo Hai said evilly. "Sorry, I have never promised to marry you," said Lin Lan. "I don't care. No one can refuse me. Since your family has promised, you have to marry me." Luo Hai's face fell and said, "Elder Wu, take the girl away immediately. I'm interested to see who dares to stop me." "Yes," nodded the purple-clothed elder beside Luo Hai. "Master Luo Hai, you can't." People of the Lin family were shocked. But before they stopped him, the purple-clothed elder had already taken action. "Young lady, you'd better go with us." The purple-clothed smiled coldly and said. Then he went to Lin Lan in a blink, reached out his shriveled hand and tried to catch Lin Lan. However, at the same time, Jian Wushuang moved too. Before the purple-clothed elder reached Lin Lan, a black-robed young man, wearing a long sword on his back, stood in the way. The cold young man waved his sleeve and said, "Scram." He shouted with a huge power blasting out of his sleeve. "What?" Feeling a huge impact force coming to him, the purple-clothed elder was attacked. Immediately he spat out blood and landed heavily on the wall. The wall was destroyed. All experts of Lin family felt a sudden throb in their heart after seeing that. Such an easy wave of a sleeve, seriously injuring a Saint Realm expert at 3rd stage domain. How terrifying was his strength. Blissful Bookshelf. After beating back the purple-clothed elder, Jian Wushuang shot a cold sight and flashed before Luo Hai. Boom! An incredibly strong killing intent surrounded Luo Hai. His brain was in a buzz, eyes opened widely and standing still in shock, he wet his pants. A good-for-nothing. Jian Wushuang looked down at Luo Hai with disdain. Then Luo Hai heard a deep voice, "We did deal with the engagement in an improper way. Tomorrow, I will take my disciple to your mansion and apologize to Luo family. Now, you can go." After saying that, the killing intent on Jian Wushuang vanished and Luo Hai came to himself. "Go, let's go." Luo Hai had already been scared silly. He took the purple-clothed elder and staggered out of the Lin family at once. Witnessing what had happened, people of the Lin family couldn't help marveling at him. "Master of Lin family," Lin Xian apologized, "Mr. Swordsman, it's our fault to be thoughtless about honor marriage. Sorry to bring you trouble." "Trouble? No. I'm afraid we fell prey to a plot." Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Fall prey to a plot? Lin Xian was confused. The news spread so quickly. It took Luo Hai only half a day to receive the news and arrived here. Jian Wushuang sneered and shot a cold look at First Madam. First Madam was alarmed. Before she opened her mouth to explain for herself, a wind blew over. Jian Wushuang went to her and squeezed her neck, pulling her up. "Mr. Swordsman." All of them were startled. "Hum." Jian Wushuang snorted. He threw First Madam on a stone table, which smashed the table at once. "L'honor, to kill her or not depends on you." Looking at First Madam lying on her deathbed, Lin Lan's eyes flashed coldness but more hesitation. She squatted, and after a wave of her hand, First Madam's dantian was shattered. "You have persecuted me many times and made me suffer, thinking it was better to die than to live. Today, I will pay you back by destroying your dantian." Jian Wushuang didn't stop her. "Tomorrow, I will take you to Luo family." Chapter 384, Breaking Off the Engagement. Chapter 384, Breaking Off the Engagement. Luo family, one of the 6 families in Iron Saber territory. Being a large family, Luo family possessed a much richer base and greater background compared to the Lin family. It had dozens of Saint Realm experts, even 3 in pinnacle of the Saint Realm. 2 figures were approaching the Luo family's mansion, a young man and a young beauty. Each wore a long sword on his and her back. Judging from their appearance, they were about the same age. People thought they were brother and sister at first sight, but never had imagined that they were master and disciple. "Master, Luo family is one of the 6 families in Iron Saber territory. If we go inside and break off my engagement like this, it will bring shame to them." Lin Lan frowned slightly. "I thought you didn't care." Jian Wushuang blinked his eyes. He shook his head, smiled and said, "You have refused it in the presence of so many people, what's the difference?" Lin Lan lowered her head. "Let's go inside first." Soon Jian Wushuang and Lin Lan arrived at the void in front of the Luo family's mansion. "Swordsman, coming to visit." Jian Wushuang's voice spread. Immediately dozens of figures flashed out in the void. "Are you Swordsman?" The voice of an elder who had a cold face and looked like Luo Hai said. It was the great elder of Luo family, Luo Shan. Standing beside him was a middle-aged man with a solemn look, Luo family's master, Luo Hong. Another one who drew people's attention was, a strapping man wearing a purple saber on his back, standing by Luo Hong's side. They knew why Jian Wushuang had come, so they didn't look happy. "Dear gentlemen, I'm here to ask for a favor. My disciple is unwilling to marry Luo Hai. Therefore, can we break off the engagement? In compensation, here is an interspatial ring with lots of treasures and elixirs in it." Jian Wushuang gave it to them. Taking the interspatial ring, Luo Shan didn't even look at it. He said in a deep voice, "So easy for you. So what do you want?" Jian Wushuang said coldly. "Simple." Luo Shan said, "Where are the 3 protectors?" Whoosh! 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 3 figures appeared before Jian Wushuang. 2 men and 1 woman, all reached the Saint Realm and the 3rd stage of domain. 1 step further, they would walk into pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Strength speaks, said Luo Shan. Swordsman, if you want to break off the engagement, defeat the 3 protectors first. Otherwise, we will not accept any compensation. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and a smile appeared on his face. Please. Jian Wushuang calmly looked at the 3 protectors. They looked at each other, nodded secretly. The next moment, they moved towards Jian Wushuang. Boom! A purple flowing light flashed like a ghost and rushed towards Jian Wushuang's head directly. Too fast. A normal Saint Realm expert would not be able to react to it. Experts of Luo family stood in the void and calmly watched. The 3 protectors have been together for years and they cooperate very well. They can even battle an expert at pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Therefore, it couldn't have been better to be able to test Swordsman's strength with them. Luo Hong, Luo family's master, said with a smile. Being one large family, not only did the Luo family had deeper and stronger background, but it had a wiser and more far-sighted master than Lin family. Actually, after hearing the news yesterday, they had discussed how to test Jian Wushuang with the 3 protectors. If Jian Wushuang defeated them, it proved that Jian Wushuang's battle strength was in pinnacle of the Saint Realm. And they would like to do him a favor, accepting the compensation peacefully. However, if he was defeated, they would make it difficult. He should understand that to refuse the engagement with Luo family, one of the 6 families, one would need to pay something. Thwack! A loud thump sounded. Jian Wushuang attacked the purple flowing light. Jian Wushuang fought back with a naked fist. After seeing this, many experts were shocked. But the strapping man standing beside Luo Hong was interested. Such a strong body. He gasped with admiration. After the thump, Jian Wushuang motivated his force of Gale and Thunderbolt. Then 3 residual shadows appeared in the void and beat the 3 protectors back. Clearly, Jian Wushuang was the winner. The 3 protectors got back on their feet and looked, aghast, at Jian Wushuang. In a flash, he defeated all 3. Too fast. Too easy. They were far weaker than Jian Wushuang. Experts of Luo family were stunned. Stage 2. Luo Hong, Luo family's master, said with a grim look on his face, Swordsman, his battle strength should be in stage 2. Yes. The strapping man beside agreed with interest flashed in his eyes. Then Luo Hong said, your strength impressed us. I agree to break off the engagement. Thank you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile and felt relieved. He thought they would tangle with Luo family and have a fierce fight with them. But it seemed Luo family was much wiser. But at this moment, whoosh! A figure suddenly showed up in front of Jian Wushuang. It was the strapping man wearing a saber on his back and standing beside Luo Hong. Mr. Lei Dao, what do you, people of Luo family were confused. Staring at Jian Wushuang, Lei Dao's battle intent slowly increased. Chapter 385, Lei Dao. Chapter 385, Lei Dao. Jian Wushuang looked at the person facing him while frowning. This man exuded an extremely violent and overbearing aura, with fanatical eyes and overwhelming battle intent. My name is Lei Dao, and my favorite thing in my life is to fight with real experts. In today's Iron Saber territory, I have challenged all the experts who have reached the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It is rare to meet an expert like you who looks like someone at stage 2. Anyway, we have to fight a battle. Lei Dao said. Stage 2. Jian Wushuang was surprised. Master Luo Hong, would you mind if I fight with this swordsman in your Luo family mansion? Lei Dao glanced at Luo Hong. As long as you don't tear down my mansion, Mr. Lei Dao, just do whatever you want. Luo Hong said with a smile. Swordsman, please. Lei Dao cupped one hand in the other before his chest towards Jian Wushuang to show courtesy, and then directly attacked him. A purple saber appeared in Lei Dao's hand, who had come in front of Jian Wushuang with only one single stride covering tens of zhangs. The purple saber turned into a purple thunderbolt and was cleaving towards Jian Wushuang with a shrill boom across the void. Expert. Jian Wushuang's face turned gloomy. Just watching Lei Dao's strike, Jian Wushuang understood immediately that he was facing a real expert. When the extremely overwhelming saber approached, even Jian Wushuang felt an unusually great pressure. The pressure was even greater than that brought to him when the four holy masters from the Holy Emperor Palace attacked him together at the palace. As for the strength of this Lei Dao, it was obviously far from being comparable to that of the four holy masters. Even the strongest first holy master was much weaker than him. While the saber was arriving, Jian Wushuang shook his body. Then, he stepped forward, with his right hand clenched tightly, and a blast of outrageous force was gathered. He directly punched forward with a boom. Rumbling at that moment, it seemed that the heaven and earth were trembling. Pang! Jian Wushuang's fist collided against the purple saber with a violent crash. His body was immediately blown backward, while Lei Dao's body also trembled. Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang in a surprise. He dared punch directly with his fist against my saber, and my saber did not split his palm. Jian Wushuang was also shocked. My flesh can compare with magic weapons, but when he struck, my palm was numbed. It's my limit to accept one of his strikes with my bare hands. I could never receive a second attack. Jian Wushuang secretly thought. Haha, come again. Lei Dao laughed. Then he strode out again. He performed another violent cleave with his saber. This time, Jian Wushuang could not block it with bare hands. A long sword appeared in his hand. This sword was obtained from the Holy Emperor Palace. It was a medium second-grade magic weapon named Lonely Heart. There was no other way. The triple-kill sword, as a first-grade magic weapon, was too well known. Hence, Jian Wushuang usually used this Lonely Heart sword in public battles. With a cold snort, the long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand turned into a ghost snake and swerved out. Hua! 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 There were 4 consecutive sword moves, each of which was amazingly fast with most eccentric angles, making that Lei Dao unable to resist with all of his power. After the 4 strikes, however, Jian Wushuang suddenly withdrew his body, with the sword in his hand cleaving out. The first-grade sword technique, dragon-killing sword technique, was displayed with immediately explosive power. Lei Dao tried to defend with his saber, but found his saber was struck away violently by Jian Wushuang's sword. Amazing! Lei Dao stood up firmly and looked with excited sparkling eyes at Jian Wushuang. You are extremely powerful. If I want to defeat you, I'm afraid that I would have to display my most powerful techniques. Yet, that technique can only be used in life and death struggles. Now we are just sparring, so it's not necessary for me to use it. Saying this, Lei Dao slowly sheathed his saber into the scabbard. Evidently, he had no more intent to fight against Jian Wushuang. Your strength is incredible. If you use your most powerful technique, I'm afraid I cannot withstand it. Jian Wushuang smiled modestly. Ha, swordsman, it's rare to meet with an expert like you. Let's have a good talk, okay? Lei Dao laughed. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He had found that Lei Dao was a bold and straightforward man with a free spirit, who was worth befriending. Anyway, he had just arrived at the Divine Land, and needed to know more. Perhaps he could get answers from Lei Dao. 2 warriors, the Luo family has prepared wine for you. You could have a good talk here. Luo Hong said at this moment. Thanks to Master. After thanking the Luo family, Jian Wushuang rushed to their mansion with Lei Dao, and Lin Lan obediently followed Jian Wushuang. In a manner of the mansion of Luo family, Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were sitting together. Swordsman, you could block my saber with your bare fist. Your body is so strong. I have fought against countless experts in so many years in the divine land. There is no one, however, whose physique could compare with yours. Lei Dao admired. Your saber techniques are also terrifying, powerful and overwhelming. Recalling the saber techniques Lei Dao had wielded just now, Jian Wushuang also gasped in admiration. However powerful my saber techniques, you defeated me. Lei Dao laughed. By the way, your strength is so overwhelming. Yet, why haven't I heard about your name in the Iron Saber territory? I come from an outside continent, and have just arrived at the divine land. Jian Wushuang said. No wonder. Lei Dao was silent for a while. You cultivated in an outside continent but obtained the strength of Stage 2. You are really amazing. Stage 2. Jian Wushuang frowned. Lei Dao, when you fought against me, you mentioned Stage 2. What does Stage 2 mean? You don't know. Lei Dao glanced at Jian Wushuang in astonishment, but he immediately understood. Right, anyway, you have just arrived at divine land. It's normal that you don't know this classification. Let me explain it to you. Lei Dao began to explain. You should know that there is no difference between the height of the realms within the Saint Realm. The difference just lies in the perception of the origin. Therefore, as long as you reach the Saint Realm, you'll be classified into 3 levels of momentum, domain, and pinnacle. Let's put aside momentum and domain, and just talk about the pinnacle. Pinnacle refers to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, which means you have reached a certain level of origin perception. However, warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm also have different strengths, and the differences can be very large. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Warriors at the same pinnacle of the Saint Realm really could have huge disparity. Just like the battle strength of the first Holy Master was far more powerful than that of the other 3 Holy Masters in Nanyang continent, who was much stronger than other warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. As for Jian Wushuang himself, he was also at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, but he could very easily kill an ordinary warrior at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Pinnacle of the Saint Realm is just a vague concept, and what really matters is the perception of the origin. The origin of heaven and earth is as vast as the sea. When you comprehend 1 water drop, you are at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. When you comprehend 100 water drops, you are still at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. The disparity, however, is substantial. According to the disparity, the pinnacle of the Saint Realm is divided into 3 stages. Chapter 386, 3 Ultimate Stages of the Saint Realm. Chapter 386, 3 Ultimate Stages of the Saint Realm. 3 Ultimate Stages of the Saint Realm. Stage 1 refers to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm but with ordinary strength. Such warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm just meet the requirements of origin perception, and they only have mediocre manuals and techniques. Like the 3 experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm of the Luo family, they all belong to this level. In the entire divine land, the warriors at stage 1 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are most numerous. Lei Dao slowly narrated. But stage 2 is much stronger than stage 1. Stage 2 generally means the warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm who have reached an extremely high level of the origin perception and have condensed their origin marks. Origin mark? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Like this. Lei Dao lifted his hand. At this moment, Jian Wushuang noticed that there was a mark like a purple thunderbolt on Lei Dao's arm. I perceive the thunderbolt origin, so I can condense the thunderbolt mark. Lei Dao continued, after condensing your origin mark, your power will greatly rise when you generate origin energy. At the same time, the warriors at stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm own more powerful magic weapons, manuals, or techniques. Of course, this is a normal situation. Some people who have not condensed their origin marks, however, still possess battle strength that can compare with that at stage 2. Like you, who have not condensed an origin mark, but still own a very powerful physique. Your battle strength is not weaker than mine, although I have the origin mark. Jian Wushuang did not know how to react. His body was really a great advantage. And what about stage 3? Jian Wushuang asked. Stage 3 is quite incredible. The warriors at stage 3 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm not only own unusual magic weapons, treasures, and techniques, but also have higher perception of the origin. Generally, they have more than 3 origin marks at least. As for their battle strength, they are more than 10 times stronger than those at stage 2. I have fought against and exchanged with experts at stage 3 more than once, but we were not at the same level. Lei Dao smiled bitterly. So strong? Jian Wushuang was surprised secretly. Actually, above stage 3, there is another level which is even more incredible at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Lei Dao suddenly said. Oh. Stronger than stage 3. Jian Wushuang looked towards him immediately. Yes, those warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are called heaven-defying level. Lei Dao said with a sense of admiration in his eyes. The warriors at that level of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are really monsters at the Saint Realm. Not only in the Iron Saber territory, but even in the entire Divine Land, they are rare. Those monsters are called at the heaven-defying level, not only because they own extremely high perception of the origin. What's more important is that they have awakened another kind of unusual power, the power of soul. Soul? Jian Wushuang was astonished. You mean sword soul, saber soul, etc.? Yes, you know about that. Lei Dao turned to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang replied with a faint smile. He felt very strange. Regarding the sword soul, he did not only know about it. He had awakened the sword soul himself, and his sword soul was the double first-grade sword soul. There are some experts who have awakened the soul. Take the sword soul as an example. After awakening the sword soul, you can condense the sword soul phantom, which can make your strength rise explosively, just like an expert of stage 3. If you awaken the sword soul, your battle strength can dramatically rise several times with the force of the sword soul. Naturally you can be regarded as at the heaven-defying level. Lei Dao said. Jiang Wushuang agreed with Lei Dao's words to the bottom of his heart. Having condensed the sword soul phantom, he indeed could make his strength dramatically rise with the force of the sword soul, which was powerful and overwhelming. The heaven-defying level is the most powerful being at the Saint Realm. Above that is the higher Cloud Realm. Lei Dao said. Cloud Realm. Jian Wushuang nodded quietly. Above the Saint Realm is the Cloud Realm. Jian Wushuang knew this. As for the heavenly creation skill, what is after Venerable Master is flying to the 9th heaven. Flying to the 9th heaven corresponded to the Cloud Realm. What a shame! Although both of us are at the level of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, we are far from the Cloud Realm. Lei Dao sighed. What he said were the facts. It seemed that the pinnacle of the Saint Realm was just a step away from the Cloud Realm. Actually, however, this step included a lot of twists and turns. It was never easy to break through and reach the Cloud Realm. I haven't condensed the origin mark, but I have a strong body. Due to the power given by the heavenly creation skill, I can rival Lei Dao, who is at stage 2. Yet, in fact, I still have many trump cards. Jian Wushuang thought. Just now when they fought, Lei Dao said he had not displayed his most powerful techniques, but Jian Wushuang had reserved even more techniques. For example, there were his Azura secret skill, multifold realm, and a lot of sword skills. Moreover, he had awakened the double first-grade sword soul, which he also had not displayed. He had not used the triple kill sword, which was a first-grade weapon either. According to what Lei Dao said, I own the battle strength of stage 2 just with my body and the heavenly creation skill. If I applied the Azura secret skill, the Yellow Spring Road, and the multifold realm to create domain suppression, I should be able to rival those experts at the top of stage 2. If I additionally used the force of the sword soul, maybe, I could compete with the experts at stage 3. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. Of course, this was only based on what Lei Dao said. He had to make some guesses and judgment about his own strength. Yet, whether his current strength could really reach stage 3 could not be confirmed until he really fought a stage 3 expert. By the way, Swordsman, you have just arrived at the Divine Land. Have you found a place to stay? Lei Dao suddenly turned to Jian Wushuang. You're right, I haven't. Jian Wushuang nodded. Ha, so why don't you go to the Lord of the Territory just like me? Lei Dao said. Lord of the Territory? Iron Saber Lord? Jian Wushuang frowned. Yes. Lei Dao laughed. The Iron Saber Lord is a top expert at the Cloud Realm. He has a good reputation in the entire Divine Land. What's more important, he is very kind and nice, so there are a lot of experts gathered in his territory. You may think the 6 large families, the middle families and the small families are all powerful. Actually, anyone clearly knows that the most terrifying person is the Iron Saber Lord, and his Iron Saber army has gathered the most experts. For example, in the Luo family, one of the 6 families, there are about a dozen experts of the Saint Realm, including 3 at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It looks powerful. In fact, however, the Luo family is nothing in front of the Iron Saber army, who can randomly send a few warriors to easily destroy the Luo family. There are a lot of experts in the Iron Saber territory, but frankly speaking, more than 90% of the top experts in the territory have been gathered in the Iron Saber army. And that is where an expert like you should stay. Chapter 387, Iron Saber Lord. Chapter 387, Iron Saber Lord. Iron Saber Army. More than 90% of the top experts in the Iron Saber territory are gathered there? Jian Wushuang showed his interest. How about my suggestion? Would you consider it? Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. I don't need to consider. I've decided. I'll go to the Iron Saber army. Jian Wushuang directly answered. He was naturally belligerent. The place where experts gathered like the Iron Saber army was just what he dreamed of. Therefore he did not need to think about it. I guessed that you would be interested. Lei Dao laughed brightly, and then he raised his glass. Come, Swordsman. Let's have a drink. Jian Wushuang also raised his glass with a smile. And just as Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were drinking and chatting, a strange energy fluctuation suddenly came from the nearby courtyard. Well, this is... Both Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were surprised, then they immediately moved their bodies and appeared in the void. Through the void, the two could clearly see Lin Lan in the courtyard, whose breath had surged up. Divine Transcendence. Jian Wushuang's eyes were brightening. Ha, Swordsman, congratulations. You've accepted a good disciple. Lei Dao congratulated Jian Wushuang at once. Jian Wushuang responded with a smile. Actually, he was very happy to see that. Lin Lan was extremely talented and had been qualified to pursue the Saint Realm even 2 years ago. However, due to the witch poison, she had not successfully broken through. Instead, her realm had fallen drastically. Now, the witch poison had been removed by Jian Wushuang. When Lin Lan's realm had recovered, she was naturally closer to the Saint Realm. Actually, there was only a paper-thin barrier to cross. As soon as the thin piece of paper was broken, Lin Lan naturally passed through. Before long, the aura of Lin Lan in the courtyard slowly calmed down, and her eyes opened. She looked up at Jian Wushuang and bowed respectfully, Master. Good. Jian Wushuang responded with a slight smile, stepping down with Lei Dao. I thought it would take some time for you to break through the Saint Realm again after your strength was recovered, but now it seems I have really underestimated you. It's all due to Master removing the witch poison for me. Otherwise, I would never break through the Saint Realm. I'm afraid it wouldn't have been long before I fell into the primordial gold core. Lin Lan was humble but confident. I can only help you this time. In the future, you have to rely on yourself. Jian Wushang glanced at Lin Lan, and said, I have promised to Brother Lei Dao that I would go to the Iron Saber Lord and join the Iron Saber army. What about you? What's your plan? Me? Lin Lan frowned. And then, she relaxed and seriously said, I intend to travel the world by myself. Oh. Jian Wushuang nodded quietly. That's all right. I will always be busy cultivating, and have no time to arrange for your practice. If you continue to follow me, it may not be a good thing. After saying that, Jian Wushuang turned his palm upside down and gave an interspatial ring to Lin Lan. Inside the interspatial ring, there are some treasures you may use. You take it. In the future, when you travel around the world yourself, you should take care and never lose your life. Thank you so much, Master. Lin Lan accepted the interspatial ring, and nodded respectfully. Go. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Lin Lan knelt down at this moment and kowtowed heavily 3 times towards Jian Wushang, and then directly left. She is such a beautiful disciple. You don't let her stay with you, but just let her leave alone. Lei Dao playfully looked at Jian Wushuang. Young eagles can only fly when they spread their wings. What's more, I am a big man, and if I'm always followed by a beautiful female disciple, what does it mean? Jian Wushang spread out his hands. You are aware. Lei Dao glanced at Jian Wushang, followed by a somewhat strange question, in fact, I wonder how old you are. Your strength is so powerful, so you should be old, but you look so young. This is a secret. Jian Wushang smiled slightly and did not answer to him. That's okay if you don't want to say. Lei Dao curled his mouth. Let's go. I'll lead you to see the Lord of the territory. Before long, Jian Wushuang set out with Lei Dao, going to the place where the Iron Saber Lord lived. The Iron Saber territory was very vast, which was somewhat larger than the Nanyang continent. Iron Saber Lord lived on a long mountain range, on which there were many buildings. Jian Wushang and Lei Dao moved at full speed, but it still took 3 full days before they arrived. Swordsman, you'll see the Lord of the territory at once. Lei Dao said. Iron Saber Lord. There was a sense of expectation in Jian Wushang's eyes. I have heard that the experts at the Cloud Realm could easily kill experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm by just a lifting of his hand. In the vast divine land, he could be regarded as an overlord being. But I've never seen an expert at the Cloud Realm. Perhaps Iron Saber Lord would be the first expert at the Cloud Realm I would see in my life. That is Huyo Palace where the Lord lives. Lei Dao pointed to a towering palace in the distance, which was almost all black. The palace was sending out golden ripples in circles, sweeping through all directions. Its pressure surprised Jian Wushuang. Follow me and head down. Lei Dao laughed. Jian Wushang nodded, and then landed in the front of Huyo Palace following Lei Dao. There were some guards, whose strength even astonished Jian Wushuang, in front of the Huyo Palace. The Saint Realm. The guards were experts at the Saint Realm. In the entire Iron Saber territory, probably only the Iron Saber Lord had the qualification to employ them. The guards didn't stop Lei Dao and Jian Wushuang when they saw them. Is the Lord in the palace? Lei Dao asked. The Lord is holding a meeting with 2 army masters and some commanders. A guard respectfully answered. Lei Dao nodded. Swordsman, let's come in. Then, following Lei Dao, Jian Wushang directly stepping into the Huyo Palace. Huyo Palace was extremely huge. Following Lei Dao, Jian Wushang came to the main hall of the Huyo Palace. As soon as he entered, Jian Wushang saw several figures standing and sitting in both sides of the hall. These people possessed incomparably terrifying aura, much more powerful than those of the ordinary pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Experts. All of these people were experts. Not one of them is weaker than Lei Dao. Some are even stronger. Jian Wushuang was terrified. In the entire hall, the most frightening being for Jian Wushuang was an untidy and somewhat slovenly black-haired man sitting at the top. The black-haired man was sending out waves, with the oppressive feeling just like being pressured by a whole world. This man is Lord of the Iron Saber territory. Jian Wushuang looked at the black-haired man, just as the latter also looked at him. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang just felt a flash of thunderbolt across his head, and his whole body was completely overwhelmed. Terrifying. Just a look, and Jian Wushuang felt heart-stopping fear. This was the absolute strength of an expert at the Cloud Realm. Chapter 388, The 13th Commander. Chapter 388, The 13th Commander. Lord. Lei Dao respectfully saluted and introduced, "This is Swordsman, who has just arrived at the Divine Land from the outside continent. He is here to join your army." Lord. Jian Wushuang also respectfully saluted. "Before coming here, I have fought against Swordsman, and he has the battle strength at Stage 2. Lei Dao said continually. Stage 2. Iron Saber Lord at the top of the hall nodded slightly. My Iron Saber army is a place where a lot of experts are gathered. An expert at Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm is strong enough to be a commander. However, whether you swordsmen really have such strength needs to be tested." Mo Dong. A cold and tough man appeared in front of Jian Wushuang at once. "Swordsman, this is a law of the Iron Saber army. I hope you understand." Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang. I understand." Jian Wushuang nodded. The cold and tough man was staring at Jian Wushuang. "Swordsman, be careful." As the voice fell, a flush of skyrocketing power surged up from Mo Dong's body, who appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in a flash. Then, his right hand became a claw and attacked Jian Wushuang like a lightning. The fingertips slashed across the void, causing a shrill noise. The void seemed to be torn in half by this swift claw. Watching this claw, the Lonely Heart sword appeared in Jian Wushuang's hand. Then, an extremely fierce stab was extended out. At the moment of this thrust, a mighty killing intent swept through the whole hall. It was so strong that many experts in the hall looked askance at it. The killing intent is so strong. It means that his perception of the slaughter origin is extremely high, but he is still far from condensing the origin mark. The experts around were all peak experts above Stage 2, who had very high perceptions. In one glance, they could judge Jian Wushuang's degree of origin perception. Clang! A low and heavy sound of a collision was heard. At the same time, the point where the sword light met the claw was still faintly ablaze with flames. Mo Dong coldly snorted, and then spread out his two palms at the same time, and threw himself towards Jian Wushuang like an eagle. With a solemn face, Jian Wushuang waved his Lonely Heart sword and directly defended. Clang! 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 There were several continuous collisions, making clashing noises one after another echoing through the hall. After the last collision, Mo Dong stretched out his claw, which Jian Wushuang had no time to block and had to respond with his left fist. As a result, both of them were explosively forced back. You haven't condensed the origin mark, but when your strength erupts, you are much stronger than those at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Moreover, your physique is incredible. Your overall strength is not weaker than ordinary Stage 2 experts. Mo Dong solemnly looked at Jian Wushuang. When he fought against Jian Wushuang, he also felt an unusual pressure from this expert. The experts around in the hall all laughed at this scene. Obviously, they all recognized Jian Wushuang's strength. At the top of the hall, Lord of the Iron Saber territory looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile on the corners of his mouth, thinking secretly, Mo Dong did not do his best, but this swordsman, I'm afraid, has all hidden his strength. If he uses all his strength, it is not a problem to have a firm foothold at Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Swordsman. Iron Saber Lord looked down. Jian Wushuang immediately looked up. From today, you will be the 13th commander of the No. 1 army. Iron Saber Lord said in a grand voice. Thank you so much, Lord. Jian Wushuang said immediately. Qing. Iron Saber Lord said. Then a cyan-robed middle-aged man with steady aura walked out. You are the general of No. 1 Army. Now, Swordsman will be under your command. It's your duty to tell him the regulations of the Iron Saber Army. Iron Saber Lord ordered. Yes. Qing nodded respectfully. You can go. Iron Saber Lord waved his hand, with his figure slowly became more and fainter before finally disappearing. Such a marvelous skill. Jian Wushuang was shocked by this. The commanders and experts in the hall also began to leave. Swordsman. Qing walked to Jian Wushuang. General. Jian Wushuang slightly opened his mouth. Through the dialogue between Iron Saber Lord and Qing, Jian Wuhuang had known that Qing was the general of No. 1 Army, and he himself was No. 9 commander under Qing's command. You have just arrived at the Iron Saber Army. There is something about the army I need to tell you about, but now I'll lead you to see your people. Qing said. People? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Swordsman, each commander in the Iron Saber Army could command a team of warriors. The number is not large. It's only a 100-person team. Yet a single small team like this could easily destroy the Luo family, one of the 6 families. Lei Dao smiled aside. Oh. Jian Wushuang became curious. Lei Dao, come together with us. Qing said, and then he left the hall. Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were following and talking in a low voice. Lei Dao, our general seems to be agreeable and modest. Jian Wushuang said. Of course. Lei Dao smiled. General Qing has a very high reputation and not bad temperament in the Iron Saber Army. Of course, that's just for us. When he faces the enemy, the situation will be different. What's more, General Qing has powerful strength. He is a peak expert at Stage 3. Stage 3. Jian Wushuang was shocked. If he used all his trump cards and did his best, maybe he could rival the experts at Stage 3 now. Actually, not only General Qing but also all the commanders in the Iron Saber Army are similar. Lei Dao said, after all, most experts in the Iron Saber Army are from outside the Divine Land. They have reached the peak and have no pursuit in the remote continents, and then come to the vast Divine Land. In the remote continents, the cultivation conditions are not as good as in the Divine Land. That they could get to the peak there means they have experienced many years of cultivation. All of them are as old as monsters. They are different from the youngsters in the Divine Land, who dare to do anything relying on some strength. That's it. Jian Wushuang smiled. Guided by General Qing, it didn't take long for Jian Wushuang to arrive at an army camp. There were some sergeants in black armor in the camp. Armor? Jian Wushuang's expression was weird. In the Iron Saber Army, the ordinary sergeants need to wear armor according to the rule, while the experts above commander could wear whatever they want. There are no such rules for them. General Qing explained aside. When Jian Wushuang and the other 2 people turned up in the army camp, a call was sent out and the entire camp erupted. Numerous black-armored sergeants walked out of their camp tents. Very quickly they stood in orderly lines on the vacant field of the drill ground. 20 black-armored sergeants stood in a line, and there were 5 lines, so the number was just 100. Chapter 389, Demon Heart Canyon. Chapter 389, Demon Heart Canyon. Those sergeants are all experts at the Saint Realm? Jian Wushuang could not help but be shocked by the 100 sergeants in black armor. Of the 100 sergeants, who had reached the Saint Realm, 5 had achieved the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It was no wonder Lei Dao dare say that the Iron Saber Army could casually choose a squad of 100 experts to wipe out one of the 6 families, the Luo family. Swordsman, now you're the commander of this team. General Qing glanced at Jian Wushuang. Then he looked toward the sergeants. Listen, General Qing said, this is your commander. His name is Swordsman. The words caused turmoil among the sergeants. Swordsman. He is our new commander. He looks so young. Too young. He might be older than us. It's just because he retains his youthful look. To be commanders of the Iron Saber Army, they must be super experts. That's true. The minimum requirement for a commander of the Iron Saber Army is to reach stage 2 of Pinnacle of the Saint Realm. They're much stronger than us. The sergeants were whispering while observing Jian Wushuang closely. Swordsman, you can have a chat with your people. After you know them well, you can go to Demon Heart Canyon with me, General Qing said. Demon Heart Canyon? Jian Wushuang had a look of curiosity. Our army's primary task is to protect Demon Heart Canyon. General Qing explained. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then he walked toward his sergeants. Watching their commander coming over, some of the sergeants shouted out. Commander, please take care of us. Commander, we will follow you from now on. Hee, I pay my respects to you. I wonder whether you're married. Xie, don't flirt with our commander. Most of the sergeants were bold and forthright, only a few had an indifferent character. Jian Wushuang warmly said hello to the sergeants. During the greetings, he remembered 5 sergeants' names. They were the 5 experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, each of them took charge of a squad of 20 members. After half a day, Jian Wushuang knew more about his team. Swordsman, lead your people to Demon Heart Canyon with me. General Qing, who had been waiting beside him, gave an order. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He immediately set off with his team. Demon Heart Canyon, which was located on the border of the Iron Saber territory, was a massive canyon. After arriving at Demon Heart Canyon, Jian Wushuang immediately saw a huge campsite, full of sergeants. Long lines of tents were present. According to the number of tents, he estimated the sergeants at more than 1,000. So many people. All of them are experts of the Saint Realm. Jian Wushuang marveled at the number of sergeants. At this moment, he noticed another campsite on a mountain opposite to the campsite of Iron Saber Army, and their sergeants all wore silver armor. That is, Jian Wushuang frowned while watching the opposite campsite. That's the Silver Winged Army, led by Silver Wing Lord, General Qing said. Silver Wing Lord. Jian Wushuang raised his brows. He also knew that the Silver Wing territory was next to the Iron Saber territory and that Silver Wing Lord was also a top expert of the Cloud Realm, not weaker than their lord. Silver Winged Army camped opposite us. They are fighting with us? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. No, General Qing shook his head and said, we all belong to Marquis Piaoxua, which means that we're the same camp. If we don't have a grudge against each other, our 2 armies won't fight. They're here because a cave mansion appeared in Demon Heart Canyon not long ago. Cave mansion? Jian Wushuang was shocked. General Qing continued, the cave mansion was left by a Cloud Realm expert, who was even stronger than Iron Saber Lord and Silver Wing Lord. After the cave mansion emerged, the 2 lords all came over and wanted to explore it, but they found the cave mansion being protected by a formation. The formation is powerful. The 2 lords tried their best, but could not break it, so they have to wait until the formation disappears automatically. Since the cave mansion was found, the formation has started quickly dissipating. It must break soon, so Iron Saber Lord asked our first Amy to guard here. Once it breaks, we will immediately occupy it. Maybe we can't take it all, but at least we took the initiative. Ah. Jian Wushuang immediately understood. The Silver-Winged Army must think in the same way as the Iron Saber Army. Swordsman. General Qing looked toward Jian Wushuang. The power is respected in the vast divine land, as well as in the Iron Saber Army. There are many aggressive warriors in our army. You're the commander and will face some challenges. You cannot refuse these challenges. It's fine if you lose to the other commanders. But don't be defeated by ordinary sergeants, or you will be laughed at by them. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded while looking forward to it in his heart. He was also keen to battle, especially when he met real experts. The Iron Saber army was full of experts. Lei Dao, the rest of things is up to you, General Qing said, and then he left. Ha, swordsman, let me show you around our campsite, Lei Dao said with a smile. Then he took Jian Wushuang to the campsite. Lots of sergeants in black armor gathered in twos and threes. Some of them were chatting, some were drinking, most of them were cultivating in the tents. Lei Dao and Jian Wushuang attracted the attention of the sergeants. They all fixed their eyes on Jian Wushuang. He doesn't wear armor, but a black robe. He is a new commander. He looks too young. Tut, a new commander, what about his strength? Jian Wushuang walked forward and could notice that their eyes sparkled with eagerness. Chapter 390, Challenge. Chapter 390, Challenge. Swordsman, wait and see. Some of them will challenge you soon, Lei Dao said in a low voice. Jian Wushuang wore a faint smile, with a flicker of battle intent in his eyes. He thought with eager expectation, come on, the more, the better. He had lived in the Nanyang continent. It was a remote continent, so supreme experts were limited, but that was a different situation in the Divine Land. He was eager for this land because he desired to fight with the top experts from the Divine Land. Since he stepped on this island, he had fought several times, but he had not used his full strength. Furthermore, he had not experienced a really challenging fight. Lei Dao and Mo Dong were powerful enough to be taken seriously, but the two experts had made only tentative attacks on Jian Wushuang, so they had not had all-out fights. He yearned to fiercely battle real top experts. While Jian Wushuang was thinking about it, a black figure appeared in front of them. There he is. Lei Dao's eyes lit up. A bald man was in black armor, which meant he was just an ordinary sergeant. Commanders, Huang Fu Hao pays my respects to you, the bald man said while bowing to them. What's up? Lei Dao pretended not to know his intent. You are a new commander, right? May I know your name? Huang Fu Hao asked. I'm Swordsman. It's true that I've just become the commander of the Iron Saber Army, Jian Wushuang replied. Commander Swordsman, I've recently fallen into a bottleneck. I want to make a breakthrough, so I'm looking for an expert to help me. I wonder whether you would like to teach me some moves, Huang Fu Hao said. Just as I expected. Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. He knew Huang Fu Hao just used his bottleneck as an excuse and that his real purpose was to challenge him. Sure. Jian Wushuang accepted his challenge without hesitation. Thanks, Huang Fu Hao said while raising his head. A surge of an overwhelming aura rose from his body, just a bit weaker than Lei Yun's. Huang Fu Hao is famous in the Iron Saber Army. Though he's an ordinary sergeant at Stage 1, he is still one of the strongest and almost has Stage 2 strength. You should be careful. Don't lose, Lei Dao warned in a friendly manner. Don't worry. Jian Wushuang wore a slight smile and looked confident. Commander Swordsman, please. Huang Fu Hao's eyes became fierce as if he were a ferocious beast. Show your move, Jian Wushuang said. Whoosh. The void before Jian Wushuang suddenly split. Huang Fu Hao dashed toward him like a bull, with a heavy sword in his hand. The sword weighed over 5,000 kilograms at least. Shua. A streak of sword light flashed through the air, causing peculiar waves to spread out. Jian Wushuang stood there as if he did not see it, and let it strike at him. The sword light directly flashed through his body, but no blood flowed. Residual shadow. Huang Fu Hao was a bit surprised. Meanwhile, a gust of wind swept toward him. Huang Fu Hao immediately turned his head and found his opponent standing beside him and striking a blow toward his face. He moved his body and suddenly opened his mouth, letting out a roar. The roar belonged to an attack of sound waves. Though it was not powerful enough, it could stop Jian Wushuang for a second. Then Huang Fu Hao could take advantage of it to parry the attack with his heavy sword. You do possess some strength. Jian Wushuang nodded in private. Then he stepped backward. At this moment, Huang Fu Hao had changed into a furious lion and darted forward. He waved his sword while chasing. The heavy sword emitted overwhelming power. With the force of gale and thunderbolt, Jian Wushuang changed into a bolt of lightning and easily flashed across the sky. His opponent's crazy attack could not hurt him. Commander Swordsman, you're an expert at stage 2. You're just running. Huang Fu Hao said angrily. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and laughed. Since you said that, I won't run. Jian Wushuang stopped. Then a surge of great power gathered in his hands and changed into a giant punch, lashing out as if a volcano which had been dormant for billions of years suddenly erupted. Pang! The punch collided with Huang Fu Hao's sword, causing an overwhelming power to spread. Huang Fu Hao's expression changed while he felt a tingling sensation in his whole arm. Pang! 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 Jian Wushuang launched several attacks. Each of his punches, full of billions of kilograms of strength, landed on his opponent's heavy sword and forced him to retreat. The last punch directly blew Huang Fu Hao's sword away. You lost. Jian Wushuang stood there while calmly looking at his opponent. A large number of sergeants, who witnessed this fight, could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. How powerful! He defeated Huang Fu Hao only using his strength. He lives up to his title as a commander. The sergeants praised Jian Wushuang. Lei Dao narrowed his eyes while staring at Jian Wushuang. Huang Fu Hao is close to stage 2 battle strength. But Swordsman could beat him with pure strength. He is so strong. I didn't feel that when sparring with him. He did not know that Jian Wushuang previously hid his real strength and just used the strength activated by spiritual power. Though it just came from spiritual power, his strength was still greater than that of an ordinary expert at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. But during the fight with Huang Fu Hao, he not only activated strength from his spiritual power to its limit, but also strength from his powerful body. Therefore, he was much stronger than experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. That was why he could defeat Huang Fu Hao only using his strength. Chapter 391, Commander's Fight. Chapter 391, Commander's Fight. Commander Swordsman is powerful indeed. I deserve to lose, Huang Fu Hao said respectfully. He saw a swordsman with a long sword on his back and knew that he must be adept at sword principle, but the commander defeated him without using any weapons, which proved his strength. You're also very strong, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. At this moment. Ha, our new commander seems good. Hearty laughter erupted. Then they saw a brown-haired man flying toward them in the air. With a giant axe on his back, the man looked arrogant. Shiling, do you want to have a fight? Lei Dao looked at the man with a smile. Sure, it's rare to meet a new commander. How could I miss such an opportunity? The brown-haired man laughed and soon appeared before Jian Wushuang. Shiling. Jian Wushuang looked at him. Shiling is also a commander. He is a bit stronger than me, Lei Yun added. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Swordsman, come on, let's fight. Shiling stared at Jian Wushuang with sparkling eyes. Commander Shiling, please teach me some moves, Jian Wushuang replied with a faint smile. Hearing this, the sergeants in black armor became excited. Commander Swordsman accepted the challenge. Two commanders are fighting. All the sergeants looked excited. Shiling grinned. The moment he stepped forward, a huge axe shadow slashed out. So fast. Jian Wushuang was not only shocked at his speed, but also his momentum. I need to draw my sword. Jian Wushuang made his decision. The Lonely Heart sword appeared in his hand, and immediately slashed at the axe shadow. Clang! A loud crash came out. Suddenly, Shi Ling emanated a violent and overwhelming aura. His strength erupted. Hua! 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 Streaks of axe shadow continuously swept toward Jian Wushuang with the momentum of a landslide or tsunami. Every stroke was fast and powerful. Too fast. Jian Wushuang waved his longsword to block it, but he was barely able to resist and was forced to retreat. The axe shadow's power and speed did not decrease, and even became fiercer. I'll lose if it keeps going on like this. Jian Wushuang realized that he had to change his tactics. Then a slaughter domain spread out. Domain? Shi Ling did not take it seriously. The domain had a little effect on an expert who had reached the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It did not work at all on an expert who had reached stage 2 of the realm. Shi Ling immediately saw waves spreading when Jian Wushuang performed domain. Each wave, which was full of great sword essence, looked the same as the effect of domain, but it was more powerful than the latter. It was the first-grade sword technique, Multifold Realm. A year ago, when Jian Wushuang stayed in the Nanyang continent, he had just started practicing Multifold Realm, and could only display the first realm. Then he had traveled around the endless territories for a year and kept practicing. Now he could perform the second move of Multifold Realm, the Tenfold Realm. Jian Wushuang performed Tenfold Realm and Slaughter Domain simultaneously. Although Slaughter Domain posed little threat to Shi Ling, after all, Tenfold Realm was a first-grade sword technique. Jian Wushuang exerted his full strength to perform the two, and imposed great pressure on Shi Ling, whose movements immediately slowed down. The speed of both his axe shadow and body dropped dramatically. Now I can fight against you. Jian Wushuang wore a faint smile. He suddenly rushed toward his opponent while weaving out a sword shadow. Damn it, his domain can suppress me to this extent? Shi Ling turned pale. In the Tenfold Realm, he was attacked by sword essence at every moment, as if he was stuck in the mud. Lei Dao wore a weird look while watching this fight. I didn't expect that Swordsman had such a powerful skill. Shi Ling might be forced to concede. Ha, he is so arrogant. It's good to teach him a lesson. Our new commander has a powerful skill indeed. The combination of Sword Realm and Slaughter Domain could brutally suppress Shi Ling. Several commanders stood beside Lei Dao. They all came to watch this fight. They were shocked by the realm technique Jian Wushuang performed and envied him in their heart. Everybody knew such a technique helped a lot in a fight. With the help of the Tenfold Realm and Slaughter Domain, Jian Wushuang took the initiative to fight back. Soon he got the upper hand. Though they fought fiercely for a while, Jian Wushuang remained at an advantage. Good. This feels so good. Jian Wushuang became excited, his eyes gleaming with joy. Shi Ling was powerful indeed. Though he was suppressed by the Tenfold Realm, he could block all the attacks from his opponent. If I don't show my trump card, it will be hard for me to beat him. Jian Wushuang thought. He had exerted his full strength, but could barely prevail, so if he wanted to defeat Shi Ling, he had to use his trump card now. He had lots of trump cards, including the Azura secret skill, double first-grade sword soul, mind's eye sword technique, heart-killing sword technique, triple kill sword. Nevertheless, Jian Wushuang had no such plan, as he was enjoying this fight. By contrast, Shi Ling suffered terribly in the realm. I quit, I quit. Shi Ling suddenly snarled and then directly retreated to the side. Jian Wushuang stopped and looked at Shi Ling with a faint smile. Your realm skill is too odd. I felt suppressed in such a realm and could not show my strength, Shi Ling said in a low voice. Ha, Shi Ling, you lost the fight. Don't find an excuse for yourself, Lei Dao said with a smile. Yep, Sword Realm is one of Swordsman's skills. You want him to hide his real strength? Tut, It's rare to see Shiling being forced to concede. Laughter rang out. Lei Dao and the other commanders all stepped forward. Chapter 392, The Cave Mansion Opens. Chapter 392, The Cave Mansion Opens. Swordsman, let me introduce them, Lei Dao pulled Jian Wushuang and said. This is Boozer, a crazy drunk. Lei Dao pointed at a white-robed young man, who looked drunk. With skittish eyes, the man seemingly led a dissolute life. This is Yao Mei, a completely evil spirit. Jian Wushuang saw the beautiful lady with a hot figure staring at him with a spurious smile. He was scared. This is Yunhe. Lei Dao pointed to a middle-aged man, whose mild smile was like a gentle spring breeze. You have fought with Shiling, so no need to introduce him, Lei Dao said. I'm Swordsman, nice to meet you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Swordsman, you have an amazing skill. Even Shiling lost to you. You're really powerful, Yao Mei said. Hearing this, Shiling could not help but curl his lips. Small tricks. It doesn't deserve a mention, Jian Wushuang said modestly. It's not a small trick. Such a powerful technique would help you a lot in a fight, Yunhe looked over and said seriously, moreover, you're already so fast and have a powerful body. Maybe you're not the strongest among us, but looking just at your ability to protect yourself, you would be number one. That's true. Lei Dao, Yao Mei and other commanders nodded in agreement. Even if you can't fight against General Qing at stage 3, you can survive. At this point, you're stronger than us. The other commanders seemingly said casually. In fact, they were envious of Swordsman's ability. During the fight with Shiling, Jian Wushuang's overall strength might not be impressive, but his ability to defend and survive was amazing. In this vast divine land, it did not matter how strong one was, as there was always someone stronger. However, it was most important for someone to have an exceptional ability of self-preservation. As long as you could stay alive, you would have an opportunity to improve your strength. By the way, including myself, there are 13 commanders in our first army, right? Where are the other commanders? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. Right, there are 13 commanders in total. 2 commanders are carrying out their tasks and the others have gone to Flaming Battlefield, so only we're left to guard Demon Heart Canyon, Yunhe replied. Flaming Battlefield? Jian Wushuang was surprised. What's the matter with Flaming Battlefield? It's a crazy, violent battlefield, where the 2 marquises have fought against each other, but we don't know the real situation in there, because we haven't been there, Yunhe said with a wry smile. You haven't been there? Jian Wushuang couldn't help but be astonished. I'd like to. After all, there are more experts in Flaming Battlefield. If I go there, I would have opportunities to fight a large number of top experts, but our Lord said I'm not strong enough, so he has no plans to send me there. Lei Dao spoke. Jian Wushuang was shocked in private. Lei Dao had reached stage 2 of Pinnacle of the Saint Realm. If he was not qualified to go Flaming Battlefield, what level are the experts who were battling in Flaming Battlefield? Don't think too much. Just improve yourself. If your strength improves, our Lord will send us there in the future, Yunhe said. You're right. Lei Dao nodded and then grinned. Commander Swordsman has just arrived. Let's hold a party to welcome him. Let's go for a drink. The commanders walked into a tent and started drinking. Jian Wushuang stayed in Demon Heart Canyon. He usually cultivated by himself. Sometimes he would spar with the other commanders. They all got along well with each other. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Over at the campsite, Jian Wushuang stood in the air while emanating his sword realm. Yunhe was trapped within it. With the help of Tenfold Realm, Jian Wushuang used his full strength to launch attacks. Although Yunhe could parry all of them, he was still at a disadvantage. Guess how long Yunhe can persist? Lei Dao asked with a smile. He was sitting by a long narrow table with Yao Mei, Boozer, and Shi Ling above the void. If he can hold for 20 breaths worth of time, that's awesome. Shi Ling glanced at the battlefield. He had fought with Jian Wushuang several times, so he was very clear how terrifying Jian Wushuang's sword realm was. If Jian Wushuang did not perform Sword Realm, Shi Ling could easily get the upper hand, but once the Sword Realm was displayed, he immediately lost ground. Shi Ling knew that what tortured him the most was the feeling of being suppressed in the Sword Realm. He had great strength, but could not show all of it. I quit. After a while, Yunhe conceded. Soon he and Jian Wushuang came back. Swordsman, your Sword Realm suppressed me so much. Yunhe sighed. Jian Wushuang wore a smile. He often sparred and drank with these commanders, so they were familiar with each other. These commanders were powerful indeed. If he did not show his trump card, Jian Wushuang could not defeat any of them and could only have the upper hand at most. Therefore, Jian Wushuang gained a lot from his fights with them over the month. Come on, let's have a drink. Lei Dao raised a wine cup. Jian Wushuang was about to take it. Suddenly. Buzz. Invisible waves spread out. It shook so heavily that all the people in Demon Heart Canyon perceived it. This is... Their expressions changed. Whoosh. 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 Jian Wushuang and other commanders appeared in the sky and looked at the bottom of the canyon. They saw a stream of cyan energy flowing out. Though it was powerful, the cyan energy seemed on the edge of collapse. The cyan energy comes from the formation outside the cave mansion? Jian Wushuang thought. Whoosh. A figure appeared beside them. General Qing. They all noticed and cried out. The formation is going to dissipate. General Qing sighed and then gave an order. Go tell our lord. Chapter 393, A Fight in Front of the Cave Mansion. Chapter 393, A Fight in Front of the Cave Mansion. The First Army, assemble. General Qing's voice resounded loudly over Demon Heart Canyon. A large number of black-armored sergeants flew up and assembled above the void. There were a dozen teams comprising more than 1,000 sergeants. These teams were led by 6 commanders. The amassed sergeants emanated a formidable and oppressive aura, which materialized as a black torrent. It looked as though an ancient beast had crept out and was lying in wait for its prey. Silver-winged army has started to assemble. Jian Wushuang saw numerous sergeants in silver armor gather in the opposite mountain. All of them possessed a powerful aura. It seems that we'll have a protracted battle. Lei Dao, Yao Mei, and the other commanders looked grim. The Iron Saber Army and Silver-Winged Army had camped here for the cave mansion. Both sides wanted to wrest control of the cave mansion. They would have to fight for it when the formation dissipated. At this moment, they waited. All eyes were fixed on the Cyan formation. The formation was in chaos. A large amount of frenzied energy radiated in all directions, weakening the power at its core. The formation's power had dwindled. Suddenly. Bang! With a crack, the Cyan formation eventually collapsed as expected. Experts waiting at both ends of the canyon noticed the break in the formation. Go! General Qing shouted as he moved toward the bottom of the canyon. The 6 commanders and their sergeants followed General Qing down. Rumble. The atmosphere was intense as a large number of figures swarmed into the bottom of the canyon like wasps. On the opposite mountain, experts of Silver-Winged Army dived forward. Block them. A low growl sounded from the Silver-Winged Army. As their spiritual power gushed out, sergeants of the Silver-Winged Army launched a mighty attack. There were more than 1,000 Silver-Winged Army sergeants attacking in tandem. Every attack was launched by an expert of the Saint Realm. What a magnificent scene! Even Jian Wushuang was somewhat frightened. The sergeants of the Iron Saber army reacted quickly and lashed out with their own strikes. Attacks from both sides collided fiercely with each other. Rumble. The whole area shook violently as if it were the end of days. The impact from the attacks caused the mountains around the canyon to collapse. Demon Heart Canyon completely disappeared. This is terrifying. Jian Wushuang was numb with shock. The head-on confrontation between the two powerful armies was terrifying in its power and scope. Jian Wushuang was strong, but even he might be torn apart if he was involved in the battle. The battle strength of commanders at Stage 2 was insignificant compared to the two armies. General Qing led his army toward the gate of the cave mansion. The Silver-Winged Army is fully prepared for this fight. Obviously, it is impossible for us to take the entire cave mansion. We'll have to find a way to gain an advantage. General Qing's eyes flashed as he issued an order. Ordinary sergeants, stay outside the cave mansion. Commanders, go inside with me. Yes. Jian Wushuang and the other commanders responded. The sergeants of the Iron Saber army stopped before the gate, while General Qing rushed into the cave mansion with the 6 commanders. Several figures from the Silver-Winged Army also glided forward. They possessed powerful aura and were led by a semi-naked bald man with vicious eyes and 3 fire marks on his left arm. The 3 origin marks showed that the bald man was a top expert at Stage 3. General Qing, it's been a long time since we met. The last time we met was in Flaming Battlefield, right? The bald man's laughter reverberated through the area. Wu Ta. General Qing looked at the bald man, eyes narrowing. General Qing, we were comrades in Flaming Battlefield, but now we have to fight each other for our own lord's benefit, so don't take it personally, Wu Ta said in an undertone. That's what I wanted to tell you too. General Qing snorted. Okay, let's fight. Wu Ta shouted. Wu Ta's 7 commanders, all of whom were experts at Stage 2, leaped forward. Go. General Qing responded in kind. Jian Wushuang and other 5 commanders immediately moved forward, with a cold look in their eyes. General Qing fought Wu Ta, who, like him, was an expert at Stage 3. Jian Wushuang and the other 5 commanders attacked the 7 commanders from the Silver-Winged Army. A fierce fight erupted in front of the cave mansion. An aquamarine-haired lady appeared quietly before Jian Wushuang and lashed out with her aquamarine whip. A torrent of strange waves began to flow. Viper-like, the long whip flashed across the sky at incredible speed and began to twine around Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang gathered a surge of power in his hand. He clenched his hands and punched the whip, unleashing the amassed power. As his punch landed, Jian Wushuang felt as if he had hit a ball of cotton. Meanwhile, the long whip wrapped around his wrist. Chapter 394, Bluestone Corridor. Chapter 394, Bluestone Corridor. It's strange. Jian Wushuang was inwardly shocked as the aquamarine long whip twisted around his arm like a vine. He recovered quickly and a surge of soaring sword essence erupted from him, his hands shook and threw off the long whip. Swish! Jian Wushuang drew his long sword and dashed forward. The lady with long aquamarine hair wielded her long whip casually. Shadows cast by the whip changed into waves, surging forward. Jian Wushuang felt as if he was falling into a vast sea. The continual lashing waves made it hard for him to free himself and suppressed his strength. The woman comprehends water drop origin so well. While he was struggling, Jian Wushuang noticed 2 origin marks on the lady's arms. These marks meant that she was at the peak of Stage 2. Jian Wushuang assessed the current situation. General Qing's army was led by 6 commanders. On the other hand, the Silver-Winged Army led by Wu Ta had 7 commanders. These commanders were at Stage 2, so one more person could give them an advantage if both sides were matched in terms of skill. It was therefore unsurprising that the Silver-Winged Army already had the upper hand. I must do something. Jian Wushuang radiated an overwhelming sword essence. Invisible waves began to spread out and covered the entire battlefield. Sword Realm, Tenfold Realm. Slaughter Domain also started to sweep out. The two skills were combined into a deadly attack. What? The experts of the Silver-Winged Army felt themselves enveloped by a flow of invisible power. It was as though they were stuck in mud with their movements restricted. Realm Technique? How powerful! The Silver-Winged Army experts were astounded and rendered helpless by the attack. On the other hand, the Iron Saber Army commanders remained unaffected. This caused some excitement among the commanders. Ha, Swordsman, good job. Swordsman, I love you. Lei Dao and Yao Mei cried out. General Qing glanced at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Humph. Jian Wushuang snorted. He resumed his fight with the lady with long aquamarine hair. As she was now suppressed by the Tenfold Realm, she could no longer restrict Jian Wushuang's movements. Because of the Tenfold Realm, the strength gap between the both sides narrowed. Now the Iron Saber Army almost drew even with their opponent. Wu Ta's face fell. I didn't expect that someone from the Iron Saber Army would have such an odd technique. The realm sword skill or technique was rare in the vast divine land. It was also a cause of much envy. Wu Ta knew it was impossible to defeat the Iron Saber Army and decided to withdraw from the fight. Leave them alone. Let's go inside. Wu Ta repelled General Qing and shouted to his commanders. He rushed into the cave mansion. The Silver-Winged Army commanders followed him inside. Hurry up. Let's follow them. Jian Wushuang and the other commanders responded to General Qing's orders and darted into the cave mansion. The bottomless broad bluestone corridor came into sight. Candle holders shaped like dragon heads were placed along both sides of the corridor. Instead of candles, the open mouths of the dragon heads held transparent gems which lit the path. This is a cave mansion. Why do I feel that I'm in a huge underground palace? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Jian Wushuang and the others moved forward quickly. The Iron Saber Army and Silver-Winged Army were separated by a short distance, with the former on the left side and the latter on the right side. Both armies remained vigilant but they did not intend to fight. The corridor is too long. Jian Wushuang frowned at the bottomless corridor. They had walked for several thousand meters, but still could not see the end of the corridor. But at this moment, Chi! A faint sound rang out. Jian Wushuang looked at the candle holders along the corridor and saw a sliver of light. Be careful. The words had barely left General Qing when Chu! 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 A forlorn sound of breaking wind sounded. A black flowing light passed through the air and swept towards them, accompanied by streaks of black flowing light shooting from the candlesticks. The flowing light moved quickly with an overwhelming and frightening momentum. Jian Wushuang reacted first. He struck with his lonely heart sword and parried 3 streaks of black flowing light. These landed on the ground and showed themselves to be 3 black arrows made of special materials. The other commanders were also attacked by the black arrows. Shi Ling, who stood behind Jian Wushuang, was targeted by 6 arrows. Damn! Shi Ling paled at the onslaught. He tried to block the 6 arrows using his giant axe. His weapon was powerful, but less flexible than long swords or sabers. He was only able to deflect 4 arrows. The other 2 arrows continued their journey toward his chest and lower abdomen. At the critical moment, Jian Wushuang stepped forward and blocked Shi Ling. He deflected the arrow targeting Shi Ling's lower abdomen, but he had no time to parry the other. The black arrow swiftly crashed into Jian Wushuang's chest. Chapter 395, The Blood Gems. Chapter 395, The Blood Gems. Swish! With an ear-piercing sound, the black arrow pierced through the void into Jian Wushuang's chest. Jian Wushuang felt a sharp pain radiate outwards from his wound and involuntarily let out a suppressed groan. He had been protected by a shield made of spiritual power. However, the arrow had penetrated the shield. Jian Wushuang's chest had therefore been vulnerable to the arrow. The arrow could pierce the body of an expert of the Saint Realm, but Jian Wushuang's body was much stronger than an ordinary expert's. As such, the arrow only embedded itself superficially in his skin and muscle. The arrow had failed to pierce through his body or damage his vital organs. Nevertheless, the force of the impact threw Jian Wushuang and Shi Ling back several steps. "Swordsman, are you all right?" Lei Dao and the others nearby looked at Jian Wushuang with concern. "I'm fine." When Jian Wushuang regained his balance, he glanced at the arrow in his chest. He removed the arrow and put it in his interspatial ring. His wound was a bloody hole about the size of a finger. As the arrow had not reached his internal organs, he was not badly wounded. Lei Dao and the others were shocked at the scene. "Among us, you are the only one who won't die of such an attack," Lei Dao said in admiration. "Swordsman, thank you." Shi Ling looked at Jian Wushuang with gratitude. "No big deal." Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. He had gotten along well with these commanders in the past month. He saw them as friends. Helping them out when they were in danger was therefore second nature to him. The bluestone corridor had finally quietened down. Those present had been taken aback by the attack of arrows. Fortunately, no lives had been lost. The silver-winged army experts looked at Jian Wushuang with quizzical expressions. They had witnessed how Jian Wushuang had saved Shi Ling. Being shot by the black arrow is as bad as being attacked by an expert at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Moreover, arrows are excellent in piercing the flesh. Even experts of stage 3 can't survive such an attack, but this guy survived. How terrifically strong his body is. His body is as strong as a magic weapon. Amazing. He might not be the strongest one in the Iron Saber army, but he must be the most resourceful one. The silver-winged army experts were jealous of Jian Wushuang's skills. At the gate of the mansion, it had been Jian Wushuang who had helped the Iron Saber army turn the tables using his skill. Having now seen how strong his body was, these experts were doubly impressed. "Wu Ta." General Qing looked at Wu Ta and said, "We are in an unusual mansion full of danger, so we'd better stop fighting for the moment." Wu Ta frowned. He glanced at the endless corridor before them, and eventually nodded, "Okay." Other commanders exchanged glances and nodded to themselves. "Guys, slow down and watch your back," General Qing warned. The experts from both sides resumed their path forward at a slower pace. The corridor was interminably long. The experts encountered 2 subsequent black arrow attacks in a mere half-hour. Having learned from their experience in the first attack, the experts deflected the attacks with ease. Finally, they reached the end of the corridor. The end of the corridor led to a capacious, magnificent hall. Its walls were well decorated and covered with paintings. At the center of the hall, there was a pool. Jian Wushuang and the others were on high alert as they walked in and looked around. Except for the luxurious decorations, the hall looked ordinary. The most unusual feature was the pool. The pool was small with an area of 2 to 3 square meters. Notably, the water in it was dark yellow. There were also faint strands of strange energy gathered in it. Jian Wushuang and the others were drawn to the pool. Pale yellow mist rose slowly out of the water. Swish! 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 Beams of yellow light wafted from the pool floated in midair. Dozens of beams emerged from the water in succession. The light gradually faded away from the suspended light beams, revealing pieces of light yellow gems. The gems were as small as a baby's fist, but the power in them was intense. "What are those?" Seeing the gems, everyone was curious. "Blood gems." These are blood gems. General Qing's voice resounded in the hall, betraying his excitement at the discovery. Blood gem. Wu Ta recognized the gems as well. He looked thrilled. Jian Wushuang studied the gems and was stunned. He was familiar with those gems, he even owned some. Blood gems. Jian Wushuang was extremely surprised. He had gained a blood puppet in his ancestors' land as a third reward. The puppet was strong, but it was hard to power it as blood gems were required each time for such an operation. According to what Jin Ling had said, the blood gem was extremely precious and rare even in the divine land. That was why he had only given Jian Wushuang 3 gems with the puppet. But now... Chapter 396, The Fight for the Blood Gems. Chapter 396, The Fight for the Blood Gems. Jian Wushuang was thrilled as he looked at numerous gems levitating in the air. His eyes shone with anticipation. The blood puppet was his trump card. Despite its strength, he had not used it and did not intend to do so unless absolutely necessary because he had a limited amount of gems. With so many gems within his grasp now, he would be able to use the puppet more freely. The blood gems are invaluable in making weapons, puppets, and elixirs, so each one is rare and precious. General Qing stared intensely at the gems and shouted, "Go! Get the gems! Let's get moving too!" Wu Ta roared and rushed toward the gems. The truce between the two armies was broken by the appearance of the blood gems. Boom! 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 Loud roaring sounds reverberated through the hall. The hall structure remained intact and no dust was generated despite the strong vibrations. The hall had been built by its owner and was sturdy enough to withstand a fight between Cloud Realm experts. Naturally, it was not significantly affected by a fight involving people who were merely in stage 2 or 3 of the Saint Realm. Humph. General Qing looked grave. He had been fighting with Wu Ta. As the only stage 3 experts present in the mansion, they were both separated from others. They dashed toward the gems. General Qing tried to grab a gem with an outstretched hand. As he did so, he saw a blast of fire waves surge from Wu Ta, who looked mad with fury. The wave hit the gems before General Qing could reach them, and the impact caused the gems to scatter. This brightened the commanders. Quick! Catch them! Obeying the order, the commanders stopped fighting and charged toward the gems that had been scattered. A fierce fight started immediately. At this moment, 4 beams of purple light wafted out of the pool and floated in the void like the gems. Are there more gems in the pool? Everyone was distracted by the light. Soon, they realized that the objects that had just materialized were 4 purple talismans. Standing in the center of the hall, General Qing randomly grabbed a talisman. He held it in his hands and frowned as he examined it. Realizing what it was, he cried out happily, "This is a token. A token that can lead us into the inner part of the mansion." Token? Everyone was shocked, and their eyes betrayed their frenzied state of mind. Quick! Seize the tokens! Wu Ta growled. The 7 commanders of the Silver-Winged Army tried their best to follow the order. Although they had one more person than Jian Wushuang's side, they were still unable to overpower them as they were suppressed by Jian Wushuang's sword realm. However, their intention now was to seize the blood gems and talismans. They would only need to hold off their opponents while one of them grabbed the items. Damn it! Seeing the Silver-Winged Army collect the blood gems with ease, the 6 commanders of the Iron Saber Army, including General Qing, looked grave. They were occupied with fighting their opponents and could only watch helplessly as the white-robed man from Silverwing Army retrieved the blood gems and put them into his interspatial ring. All this was because the Silver-Winged Army outnumbered them by 1 person. Swish! A long green whip swept toward Jian Wushuang like surging waves. Jian Wushuang brandished his sword and knocked the whip away. He began to fight with a green-haired woman. Jian Wushuang noticed the white-robed man, who was collecting the gems, unhampered and unrestricted. He has already collected 6 blood gems. Jian Wushuang was aggrieved. These blood gems mean a lot to me. I have to get some. It seems that I have to use my trump cards now. Jian Wushuang contemplated his next steps, and his killing intent abruptly swept over the hall. Azura's secret skill, Road to the Underworld. Following his shout, the overwhelming killing intent gathered together and formed a bloody river, which covered the whole hall in an instant with overpowering force. What's this? Many of the experts looked at the river in shock, and they felt a burst of unusual power from the river. The white-robed man, who had been collecting the blood gems, noticed the river as well, but he ignored it. However, when he reached for the gem in front of him, a bloody palm formed by the rolling river slapped toward him. What? The man was stunned and drew back immediately. Jian Wushuang stood at the center of the river, and a cold light shined from within his eyes. Road to the Underworld worked well with the Tenfold Realm. Including Slaughter Domain, there were 3 techniques working together at the same time. Compression. As the word escaped Jian Wushuang's lips, the force that had repressed the silver-winged army surged again. Boom! The river roared toward the army and caused the commanders that were floating in midair to sink, turning their shock into horror. How could this be? The pressure has become much stronger. The pressure of the Sword Realm was already formidable, and now, it has almost doubled because of the Blood River. Oh my God, my strength has been suppressed by 30%. Chapter 397, Survival Instinct. Chapter 397, Survival Instinct. Horrified. Stupefied. These were the emotions felt by the silver-winged army commanders as they faced the pressure from the Blood River. They had successfully dealt with the pressure of the Tenfold Realm and Slaughter Domain at the same time before. This time, in addition to the pressure of the 2 techniques, they suffered an additional attack, Road to the Underworld. Their strength was suppressed by nearly 30%, although they were experts of Stage 2. All of them were affected to the same extent and no one was spared. In contrast, the Iron Saber army commanders were overjoyed that the river had not targeted them. As such, they were not affected at all. Swordsman! Swordsman! Lei Dao, Shi Ling, and General Qing looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Save your words. Go get the blood gems and the tokens first. Jian Wushuang shouted. Okay, okay. Let's go. Lei Dao laughed as he rushed toward a blood gem beside him. The silver-winged army commanders tried to stop them, but their attempts were foiled by the Blood River. They simply could not catch up with Lei Dao and the others. Gaining an advantage in speed, Lei Dao and the others effortlessly collected the gems. Facing this sudden change in situation, Wu Ta, the leader of the silver-winged army, looked despondent. Bastard! He cursed to himself and shot a chilly glance at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's summoning of Blood River Realm was the cause of the abrupt turn in events. Wu Ta realized that the only way to regain the upper hand was to kill Jian Wushuang. Wu Ta looked murderous as he left his army and charged toward Jian Wushuang. Go to hell! Wu Ta roared in anger as a scorching flame appeared in his hands. The flame burned with intensity and seemed capable of devouring everything in its path. Wu Ta clasped his hands tightly and attacked Jian Wushuang's head. There was a sizzling sound of burning. Damn! General Qing and his commanders were alarmed, but Jian Wushuang remained calm. A sliver of light had flashed across his eyes when Wu Ta attacked. He is in Stage 3. Jian Wushuang was increasingly pumped up by the battle. He made his move. Jian Wushuang's attack was silent as he focused the sword essence and momentum into a single point on his sword and fought back. The strike made no sound and shed no sword light. Upon collision with Wu Ta's booming fist, the impact was earth-shattering. Powerful energy waves swept over the hall and instantly crushed the hall decorations into dust. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang was thrown back 30 meters and crashed into a stone wall, which caused the wall to shake. Wu Ta was barely affected and was thrown back by a single step. Nevertheless, Wu Ta was still shocked. This sentiment was shared by the people surrounding him. He forced Wu Ta one step backward. This swordsman is definitely at the top of stage 2. Even near stage 3. The sword skill he performed just now was so powerful. There was a huge difference in strength between stage 3 and stage 2. Jian Wushuang had managed to force Wu Ta back a step in a head-on confrontation, which meant that he was at the top of stage 2 and approaching stage 3. Jian Wushuang was aware that Wu Ta had fallen back because he had been suppressed by the blood river and had not been able to fully utilize his strength. If Wu Ta had been able to fight unfettered, Jian Wushuang would not have stood a chance against him even if the first move of heart-killing sword technique was used. I was disadvantaged fighting him even though I had performed Road to the Underworld, Sword Realm, and the first move of heart-killing sword technique. It seems that I have to use the Bridge of Helplessness or the power of Sword Soul to beat him. Both skills were his trump cards. Bridge of Helplessness was powerful, but it required a lot of spiritual power. He would only use it if absolutely necessary. As for Sword Soul, he would show it only when his life was threatened. Divine Land was nothing like Nanyang Continent. In Nanyang Continent, the experts were unfamiliar with Sword Soul Phantom and Sword Soul, so Jian Wushuang could use them. On the other hand, experts in Divine Land were knowledgeable about the two techniques. For example, experts in the highest level of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, the heaven-defying level, had awakened Soul. If Jian Wushuang used the power of Sword Soul, a Sword Soul Phantom had to be produced as well. In such a case, others would recognize his double first-grade Sword Soul at once. This was too ostentatious and would reveal Jian Wushuang's strength. In the hall, Jian Wushuang patted his sleeves and walked forward. Wu Ta was astonished that Jian Wushuang had just brushed off the attack. "Why are you not injured at all after being hit by my fist?" Wu Ta asked. Jian Wushuang had been thrown back by his attack and had smashed into a wall. How could it be that he was not wounded? "Ha, Wu Ta, you might not know that Swordsman is the best among our army at survival. You are not strong enough to kill him," Lei Dao sneered. "Best in survival?" Wu Ta was startled. Jian Wushuang threw Wu Ta a look. Enveloped in a force of gale and thunderbolt, he transformed into a flash of lightning, which entered the blood river and moved rapidly through it. A series of phantoms flashed, but no one could see them clearly. How fast! Wu Ta and his commanders were stunned. Jian Wushuang was so fast. If they had not been suppressed by the blood river, they could have caught up with him. Under the influence of blood river now, they could not do anything. Besides, they had learned how strong his body was. In Bluestone Corridor, the Black Arrow had merely injured Jian Wushuang superficially. Jian Wushuang had also been uninjured after his fight with Wu Ta. With his unusual method of domain. Amazing speed. A strong and hardy body. Jian Wushuang's reputation in the Iron Saber Army as the commander with the strongest survival skills was well deserved. Chapter 398, It's all because of this swordsman. Chapter 398, It's all because of this swordsman. Wu Ta despaired when he saw how fast Jian Wushuang moved in the blood river. He understood that Jian Wushuang might not be as strong as he was, but he was definitely exceptional in other fields. It was impossible for him to kill such a formidable opponent. Quick! Get as many the blood gems and tokens as you can. Wu Ta growled. The silver-winged army experts gave up stopping Lei Dao and his companions. They focused their efforts on collecting the blood gems, but trapped in the blood river, they were overpowered by their opponents and gained only a few gems. It was not long before all the blood gems and tokens were gathered by the experts. The Iron Saber Army and the Silver-Winged Army stood on opposite sides of the hall and regarded each other. The Silver-Winged Army experts looked crestfallen. "How many blood gems did you get?" Wu Ta asked. 6, a white-robed man answered. He was the one that had collected some gems before Jian Wushuang displayed road to the underworld. "I got 1. So did I. I was lucky. I got 2. 3 more people answered while others remained silent. Wu Ta's face darkened. He had 7 commanders in his army, but they had only obtained 11 blood gems, less than 1/3 of all the gems. As for the 4 tokens, Wu Ta had obtained 1, while the remaining 3 had been seized by General Qing. It's all because of him. Swordsman. Damn him. Wu Ta and the Silver-Winged Army experts glared at Jian Wushuang spitefully. They hated him. They had outnumbered the Iron Saber Army by 1 and could have won the battle. Instead, they had suffered a great loss because of Jian Wushuang and his skills. To make matters worse, they were powerless against Jian Wushuang. Even Wu Ta himself could only look at Jian Wushuang with desperation. Wu Ta had tried to defeat Jian Wushuang but had failed. It was possible that only the top experts of the nature-defying level or stage 3 stood a chance to kill Jian Wushuang, but Wu Ta had his doubts. In contrast, the commanders of the Iron Saber Army were all beaming with joy. "Ha, what a big harvest. Yes, we have earned much. Thanks to Swordsman. Without his domain skill, we would have lost." Lei Dao and Shi Ling laughed complacently, and even General Qing was grinning. They had gained most of the gems and 3 tokens out of the 4. This was a much bigger haul than the Silver-Winged Armies. While Jian Wushuang was conversing cheerfully with the commanders, they felt a breeze and a figure appeared. "Your Excellency." They bowed respectfully to the newcomer. It was the Iron Saber Lord. The Lord was accompanied by a silver-robed man with an expressionless face. The latter stood in front of the Silver-Winged Army's commanders, revealing his status as the Silver Wing Lord. The Silver Wing Lord had immediately spotted the Blood River when he entered the hall. "It's a good domain skill. Even I am affected by it." Silver Wing Lord was astonished. He quickly regained his composure. "Your Excellency." Wu Ta bowed to him. "How was it going?" Silver Wing Lord asked flatly. "Not long after we came into this hall, we found dozens of blood gems and 4 tokens that we could use to enter the inner part of this mansion. We fought hard with the Iron Saber Army, but," Wu Ta lowered his voice and continued, "but we only obtained 11 gems and 1 token while the Iron Saber Army got the rest." "What?" The Silver Wing Lord's eyes flashed with anger. "Your Excellency, we've tried our best to fight them, but that swordsman's domain skill was so tricky. I tried to kill him but failed. He has so many ways to protect himself." Wu Ta sighed. The Silver Wing Lord turned his attention to Jian Wushuang through the Blood River. Jian Wushuang's heart skipped a beat as he felt his gaze. The Blood River began to evaporate. "Iron Saber, it looks like you're luckier than me today," Lord of the Silver Wing territory sounded emotionless. Iron Saber Lord smiled in response and he cast his eyes on General Qing. "Did you really get 3 tokens?" he asked the general. "Yes, Your Excellency," the general answered. "Well done." Iron Saber Lord smiled and nodded. He gave Jian Wushuang a meaningful glance, then stretched his hand toward General Qing. "Give me the tokens and keep the gems for yourselves." General Qing immediately handed the tokens to his lord without hesitation. "Iron Saber, let's have a talk," Silver Wing Lord said. "Okay, why not? But among the tokens, I got 3 while you got 1, I have more leverage than you." Iron Saber Lord smirked. Silver Wing Lord's face twitched in irritation and he snorted. "You're lucky to have a brilliant follower, that's all." Iron Saber Lord did not react to the remark. He looked at Jian Wushuang and the others. "Your business is done here, go back now." "Yes, Your Excellency." General Qing and Jian Wushuang nodded and left the cave mansion, smiling. The silver-winged army commanders left as well. In stark contrast with their opponents, they were in low spirits. As the commanders walked through the long bluestone corridor, they didn't run into any danger. After leaving the mansion, the Iron Saber army commanders gathered in the void above Demon Heart Canyon to distribute the blood gems. Chapter 399, Distribution. Chapter 399, Distribution. Take out all the blood gems you have, General Qing said as he took out 5 blood gems. I have several, Lei Dao said laughingly and showed his 4 blood gems with a wave of his hand. I also have some. I'm luckier than you guys. All the commanders produced their blood gems, including Jian Wushuang, who took out 3 gems. He had obtained the least number of gems. This was because he had devoted his attention to controlling the blood river to restrain the silver-winged army experts. The other commanders had a much larger haul than him. The Iron Saber army commanders had seized an astonishing number of blood gems. 31 gems. General Qing laughed. Ha! Lei Dao and other commanders also laughed. They had been outnumbered but they had obtained 31 gems, many more than the silver-winged army's harvest of 20 gems. There's 7 of us and we have a total of 31 blood gems. Each person should get 4 gems. For the 3 remaining gems, I'll take 1, and Swordsman takes the last 2. Do you agree with that? Asked General Qing. No problem. Quite fair. Lei Dao, Boozer, and other commanders smiled and nodded their assent. General Qing was a king and stage 3 expert. Of course, he would get an additional gem. As for Swordsman, he had contributed most during the battle. Had he not restricted the silver-winged army experts, the Iron Saber army commanders would not have been as successful in retrieving the blood gems. In consideration of this, Jian Wushuang deserved to get more gems. General Qing distributed the 31 blood gems. The commanders were pleased as they received their rewards. The blood gems are extremely valuable in Divine Land. Even the super experts of Cloud Realm covet them. Even if I don't need them, wow, I can sell the 4 gems at a good price, Lei Dao laughed. If you want to sell the blood gems, you can sell them to me. I need them, Jian Wushuang said abruptly. Swordsman, why do you need them? General Qing looked at Jian Wushuang and asked. I have a puppet fighter which is powered by blood gems. It'd be better if I can collect more blood gems, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. A puppet fighter powered by blood gems? General Qing was surprised. Blood gems possessed vast stores of power, which could be used to refine elixirs, magic weapons, and puppet fighters. General Qing was aware that blood gems could be used to drive some special puppet fighters. Such puppet fighters were of high level and had impressive battle strength. You have a lot of aces up your sleeve, General Qing hid his admiration as he considered Jian Wushuang. Swordsman, if you need them, we can give you some gems, Lei Dao offered generously. No, Jian Wushuang shook his head. If you treat me as a friend, just sell them to me at the market price. All right, there was no hesitation from Lei Dao. How many do you need? We should have enough among us. Jian Wushuang removed treasures of equivalent value from his interspatial ring for exchange with the commanders. Jian Wushuang almost emptied his interspatial ring to get 6 blood gems from Lei Dao and the other commanders. This brought his total haul of blood gems to 12. With the 3 gems he had acquired from the ancestors' land, he had a total of 15 blood gems now. That's enough. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with anticipation. 1 blood gem was sufficient to power the blood puppet, but it would be stronger in battle if it consumed more blood gems. If he used 10 gems at the same time, he would reach the limit of its power. 15 gems were enough for the blood puppet to show its strongest power once. While the Iron Saber army distributed their blood gems, the silver-winged army experts looked on in envy from the void where they stood. However, they could do nothing about it. Let's go. Wu Ta sighed softly and made his way back to the silver-winged army barracks with his commanders. Jian Wushuang and the others returned to the rebuilt barracks and waited there quietly. Half a day later had elapsed and it was near dusk when Iron Saber Lord and Silver Wing Lord emerged from the cave mansion. Ha! Iron Saber Lord stood in the void, robes flapping despite the absence of wind. Iron Saber, you got a lot of treasure this time. Silver Wing Lord was green with envy. It's just good luck, Iron Saber Lord beamed. You're also lucky. Though you didn't get the last chance, you got quite a number of treasures too. Not as good as you, Silver Wing Lord curled his lips. I'll go now. Silver Wing Lord departed. Iron Saber Lord's smile widened as he stared at the retreating figure of Silver Wing Lord. He made a slight move and appeared instantaneously in the barracks of Iron Saber Army. Lord Commander. General Qing, Jian Wushuang, and others had been waiting there for a long time. You've done a good job this time. The harvest in that cave mansion was plentiful. Here is an interspatial ring. You can divide the treasures in it. The Lord threw them an interspatial ring. Thank you, my lord. General Qing caught the ring and bowed. Swordsman, the Lord looked at Jian Wushuang with his indifferent eyes which seemed to contain everything in heaven and earth. Lord Commander, Jian Wushuang's heart pounded. The Lord gave him a gentle smile. You're very good. After saying this, the Lord disappeared into the void. Ha, Swordsman, even Lord Commander praised you. Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang touched his nose and gave a faint smile. Well, don't make fun of Swordsman. Come on, let's quickly divide treasures, Yao Mei suggested. Yes, let's divide the treasures. Wow, Lord Commander must have gotten a lot of treasures in the cave mansion. He certainly has been generous in rewarding us. With anticipation, they checked the treasures in the interspatial ring and were ecstatic. So many treasures. Ha, Lord Commander is really generous. Swordsman, I regret it now. If I had known that Lord Commander would give us so many rewards, I wouldn't have exchanged the blood gem with you. I should have kept the gems. They may be useful in the future. Don't you still have 3 gems? The commanders continued to distribute the treasures while joking among themselves. Chapter 400, A Summons. Chapter 400, A Summons. Iron Saber Lord was indeed generous. He had given them a lot of treasure, including about 100,000 raw gems. Raw gems were used as currency in Divine Land for trading and were very precious. Generally speaking, an ordinary pinnacle of the Saint Realm had at most several hundred raw gems. A Stage 2 expert, who possessed more resources, had at most several thousand raw gems. Everyone present would receive more than 10,000 raw gems. General Qing received 20% of the treasures and raw gems. The 6 commanders received 10% each, and the remainder was distributed to the ordinary Iron Saber Army sergeants. After all, those sergeants had also contributed to the battle efforts. Night had fallen, and after the treasures were distributed, the Iron Saber Army dispersed. Calm returned to the Iron Saber Army after the conclusion of the Demon Heart Canyon battle. 3 days later. Whoosh! A beam of flowing light flashed across the sky and appeared in the void above the Huiyou Palace where the Iron Saber Lord lived. A purple-haired elder with a wrinkled face appeared in the flowing light. As he looked at the huge palace below him, he felt an oppressive force emanate from it. His face showed a trace of fear. Iron Saber Lord. Iron Saber territory has lost heavily this time. When Iron Saber Lord knows about it, the purple-haired elder sighed softly. He isn't the strongest among the lords led by Drifting Blood Marquis. It's been said that he's good-tempered. But this time the loss is so heavy that he'll definitely be angry. I have to be careful. If the Lord is angry with me, I'm afraid I'll be killed. The purple-haired elder felt slightly uneasy as he entered the Huyo Palace. Seeing the elder, Iron Saber Lord gave an order immediately. Tell the two generals, as well as all the commanders who stay in the Iron Saber territory, to come to see me at once. In the barracks of the First Army of the Iron Saber Army. The First Army had been in charge of guarding the Demon Heart Canyon. Although the Demon Heart Canyon cave mansion had already been compromised, the First Army continued to station themselves near the Demon Heart Canyon as they had no other task. In one of the camps, Jian Wushuang sat alone on a bed with his eyes slightly closed. He was surrounded by vast origin energy. Just a moment later, the origin energy dispersed. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, shook his head slightly and thought, I have comprehended the extremely high level of the world origin and the slaughter origin. Nevertheless, I still can't cultivate the origin mark. Origin mark was the sign of a stage 2 expert. By virtue of the spiritual power of heavenly creation skill and excellent physical strength, Jian Wushuang was not weaker than stage 2 experts in battle strength. With various aces up his sleeve, he could even compete against stage 3 experts. His battle strength was definitely nothing to scoff at. But his comprehension of the origin was too weak. There was no other way. After all, he was still too young. Lei Dao and other people believed that Jian Wushuang was actually an old man who had retained his youthful looks. Nobody knew that Jian Wushuang was actually very young. He was only 24 years old this year. It was already an incredible feat for someone as young as him to comprehend the origin to such an extent. Swordsman. Lei Dao called Jian Wushuang from outside the camp. Jian Wushuang rose from the bed and left the camp. He saw General Qing, Lei Dao, and other commanders waiting outside. What happened? Jian Wushuang asked. Lord Commander summoned us. Let's set out immediately, said General Qing. Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded. The commanders of the First Army and General Qing headed for the Huyo Palace. Many from the Second Army had already arrived when General Qing and his commanders reached Huyo Palace. Like General Qing, the Second Army General was also a Stage 3 expert. Other commanders continued to stream into the palace. So many people have come, Jian Wushuang thought to himself as he sat in a corner and looked around. More than 20 people had gathered in the Huyo Palace, which included a dozen commanders and several others, who while not commanders, were as strong as them. It seems like all the Stage 2 experts who stay in Iron Saber territory are here, thought Jian Wushuang. Ordinarily, Lord Commander only summons the 2 generals and several related commanders. He summoned so many of us this time. I guess something must be wrong, and probably because of that place, Lei Dao whispered to Jian Wushuang, who was next to him. That place? Jian Wushuang's heart hammered, as he realized what Lei Dao was referring to. On the majestic throne at the top of the hall sat an untidy, grim-faced, dark-haired man. That was Iron Saber Lord. A purple-robed elder stood beside him respectfully. I have summoned you today for one reason, the Lord said in a loud and cold voice as he glanced at the purple-robed elder. The purple-robed elder nodded, bowed to the generals and commanders, and raised his voice, Your Excellencies, my name is Gu Man Marquis Piaoxue sent me to inform you. A few days ago, on the flaming battlefield, the expert team from the Iron Saber territory was attacked. Losses were heavy. 5 of the 8 experts died. The purple-robed elder quietly watched the people in the hall for their reactions. What? 5 died at the same time. Such a devastating loss. What enemies did they encounter? The entire hall fell into chaos. Jian Wushuang was grave. Lei Dao had told him about flaming battlefield. He knew that people on the flaming battlefield were crazy and cruel. Flaming battlefield was a battlefield of the experts. A Stage 2 expert like Lei Dao would be regarded as ordinary on the flaming battlefield. Jian Wushuang had not had much of an opinion on flaming battlefield previously. Now Knowing that 5 experts of Iron Saber territory had died there, he was quite shocked. The 5 who had died must be Stage 2 experts, perhaps stronger than Lei Dao. The flaming battlefield centers around the dispute between the 2 marquises and has a great reputation in the vast divine land. Iron Saber Lord spoke in a chilly tone. Chapter 401, A Quota for the Expedition. Chapter 401, A Quota for the Expedition. Flaming Battlefield is a land of opportunities and accessible only to experts. It's also a cold grave in which countless bones of the dead are buried. All territories belonging to Marquis Piaoxue will send their experts to the battlefield, and so have I. I've dispatched 9 commanders. 8 fight together in one team, while the remaining 1 made a breakthrough to Stage 3 during the expedition and is striking out alone. A couple of days ago, the team ran into trouble. They were ambushed. 5 were killed and 2 were badly injured. The fighting on Flaming Battlefield rages on, with many experts falling in battle. As the fighting continues, so does the killing. I will replace the 5 men I've lost on the battlefield. Now, I'll announce the names of the 5 men who will take their places. Iron Saber Lord's words resounded like thunder through Huiyou Palace. Iron Saber Lord's announcement caused a state of frenzied excitement in the commanders present. They had been yearning to go to Flaming Battlefield for a long time. Their enthusiasm was not muted by the fact that it was a place rife with dangers and risks. It was, after all, through challenges and danger that experts refined their skills and strength. Flaming Battlefield was precisely a place that could test the mettle of these experts. I've been dreaming of going to Flaming Battlefield. I really hope I'm among the 5 lucky ones. Lei Dao growled in a low voice. Jian Wushuang also raised his head expectantly on hearing the announcement. Iron Saber Lord began to read the names of the selected experts. The first one, Yan Mo of the Second Army. A towering burly man who was over 2 meters tall came forward. While his expression was grim, his eyes belied his elation at being selected. Yan Mo, your strength is mediocre but your defense is excellent. When you arrive at Flaming Battlefield, make full use of your advantages to complement your teammates' strengths. Understood, Your Excellency. Yan Mo's voice was hoarse as he responded to the Iron Saber Lord's command. The second one, Bing Yu of the Second Army. A graceful woman clothed in white robes stepped out from the Second Army. 2 soft and thin swords were strapped on her back. Bing Yu, you're well known for your achievement in comprehending the origin of water drops. You're an expert among the commanders and highly skilled at trapping enemies. There will be many opportunities for you on Flaming Battlefield to stretch yourself to your fullest potential. However, you're not good at defense, so, you can rely on Yan Mo when you get there, the Lord of the Iron Saber territory advised. Understood, Your Excellency. The woman nodded. Lei Dao of the First Army, the Lord continued. Lei Dao had been waiting in anticipation and was thrilled when his name was called. He strode forward and stood before the Lord in a respectful posture. Lei Dao, the Lord looked at him. You made repeated requests to be sent to the Flaming Battlefield. Today, I grant your wish. Your power is explosive and you're swift. You'll be a strong force in the team. However, you'll need to overcome your impatience when you are in Flaming Battlefield. Understood, Your Excellency. Lei Dao nodded. He was overwhelmed with excitement. Shi Ling of the First Army, the Lord continued. Shi Ling walked forward. Unlike the others, you have no special skills or strength but you have no weakness, the Lord said to Shi Ling, you are well-rounded in all skills, including speed, power and defense. I believe you'll find your stage there. Understood, Your Excellency. Shi Ling nodded gravely. Among the 4 that had been selected, the First and the Second Army each accounted for 2 people. Those who had not been called became anxious. Jian Wushuang realized that the 4 had been selected because of their respective advantages. Like Mo Yan, he was good at defending. Bing Yu was an expert at trapping enemies. Lei Dao could call upon an incredible amount of power and speed in an instant. As for Shi Ling, he was balanced in all aspects. The last one must have a unique skill. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The last one, the Lord spoke slowly as he looked around. Everyone waited with bated breath. Swordsman of the First Army. All attention fixed on Jian Wushuang. He was astonished as he had not expected to be chosen. The commanders in the hall were similarly stunned. Jian Wushuang was a newcomer in the army. And yet he had been selected to fight on flaming battlefield. Jian Wushuang managed to shake off his shock-induced stupor and presented himself to the Iron Saber Lord. Swordsman. The Lord stared gravely at Jian Wushuang and said, "You're only just joined my army, so I shouldn't have selected you. But you are mighty and most importantly, you have a unique realm technique. It's rare and would be very helpful to a strong team." Lei Dao, Shi Ling and those who had witnessed Jian Wushuang's blood river nodded their agreement. It was true that during the fight for blood gems, Jian Wushuang's blood river had nullified their disadvantaged position. This skill would be an advantage when they fought on flaming battlefield. Your skill will be of immense help to the team. It's possibly more useful than the skills of Lei Dao and the other three put together. Moreover, you have strong survival instincts. I believe you'll survive flaming battlefield if you don't encounter an expert of the heaven-defying Saint Realm or Lord's level. That's why I selected you as the last member of my team. Are you willing to go? The Lord looked at Jian Wushuang. Chapter 402, Flaming Battlefield. Chapter 402, Flaming Battlefield. Of course, I'm willing to go. Jian Wushuang nodded without hesitation. Like the other commanders, he had been longing to go to flaming battlefield. The Iron Saber territory is small and lacks real experts. Since I've been here, I haven't had a chance to show my full strength or tried my best to fight. On the contrary, flaming battlefield will have many experts in Stage 3 and at the heaven-defying level of the Saint Realm. When I get there, I can use my power to its full extent. Besides, His Excellency was right. I can always protect myself using my trump cards. Even if I encounter an expert at heaven-defying level of the Saint Realm, I could still survive. Since you are fine with the arrangement, don't tarry. Go prepare yourselves. Tomorrow, you'll go to flaming battlefield with Gu Man, the Iron Saber Lord said to the 5 commanders. Yes. The 5 nodded respectfully. Soon after, the people assembled in the palace dispersed. In the First Army. Swordsman, Lei Dao, and Shi Ling, congratulations to you all. I really envy you guys. Yao Mei, Boozer, and Yun He were full of admiration. The flaming battlefield is extremely dangerous, please take care of yourselves when you get there, General Qing sounded grave. Swordsman can protect himself and Shi Ling is well-rounded so I'm not worried about them. But you, Lei Dao. General Qing looked at Lei Dao and continued, His Excellency is right. You're too impetuous. This will give you trouble if you don't try to control it on flaming battlefield. I see. Lei Dao nodded heavily. The words of advice were seared in his mind. Okay, let's stop talking and have a good drink, General Qing said with a smile. The commanders of the First Army didn't need to be told twice to start celebrating. Early the next morning, Jian Wushuang, Lei Dao, and Shi Ling appeared in the void above Huiyou Palace with Yan Mo and Bing Yu of the Second Army. They greeted each other. Before long, Gu Man arrived as well. Your honors, if you're ready, let's go now, Gu Man said humbly. Gu Man worked for Marquis Piaoxue as a messenger, but he was inferior to the rest of them as he was only at stage 1 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. He had to show due respect to Jian Wushuang and the other 4, who were in stage 2. Let's go, Jian Wushuang answered. Led by Gu Man, the 5 commanders made their way to the flaming battlefield. During their journey, Gu-man said to them, "Your honors, I have something to tell you about Flaming Battlefield." The five nodded and listened to him carefully. Flaming Battlefield is named after the Flaming Mountains, an unbroken line of ridges. The whole battlefield is boundless and spans 4 million kilometers. The five were shocked at the information. 4 million kilometers? Even one territory was smaller than an area of 1 million square kilometers. Jian Wushuang's hometown, Nanyang Continent, covered only hundreds of thousands square kilometers. The flaming battlefield was just a battlefield, but yet its area was so vast. Even Stage 2 experts like them would take a month or two at full speed to cover the entire area. Flaming Battlefield stretches over 2 domains and is involved in the conflict between Marquis Piaoxue and Marquis Cangyue. Both of them are top experts in Divine Land. They have been fighting for their own interests for a long time. Much of the fighting has taken place on Flaming Battlefield. Jian Wushuang nodded imperceptibly when he heard this. In the vast Divine Land, 3 ancestors were supreme. Second to them were 10 sovereigns. After the sovereigns were 72 marquises. Since Marquis Piaoxue and Marquis Cangyue were among the 72 marquises, they had to be the top experts. Jian Wushuang understood that the 2 marquises were the top experts among those in the Cloud Realm. Iron Saber Lord and Silver Wing Lord were domain lords and were in the Cloud Realms as well, but they could not hold a candle to the marquises. Naturally, the battle between the 2 marquises was intense. Many experts from the 2 marquises' camps have gathered on Flaming Battlefield. The fighting between the 2 camps has been endless. The weakest experts are in at least Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Usually, each territory has about 10 experts fighting on Flaming Battlefield. When they perish, their lords will dispatch other experts to take their places. Just like you guys, you're going there to replace those from our territory who have fallen. In addition to the experts from the 2 camps, there are also many experts from other domains on the battlefield. As a result, the number of the experts fighting on Flaming Battlefield is staggering. Gu Man's words stunned the 5 commanders. As there were hundreds of territories in each domain and 10 experts from each territory, the total number of the experts on the battlefield could be as high as 10,000. Everyone was shaken by the thought of so many experts at Stage 2 fighting one another. It's indeed a battlefield of experts, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. By the way, you mentioned opportunities in Flaming Battlefield. What exactly are those opportunities? It can't be fighting all the time, right? Jian Wushuang asked Gu Man, frowning. If the opportunities referred only to killing one's opponents and challenging one's own abilities, there would not have been so many experts drawn to the battlefield. It's true that there are many opportunities on Flaming Battlefield, including many big ones. The opportunities one has access to depends on his achievements in battle, Gu Man answered. Battle achievement? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. One can get battle achievements by killing his opponents or accomplishing certain tasks. Gu Man explained. Chapter 403, Great Demon, Di Jing. Chapter 403, Great Demon, Di Jing. Battle achievement can be exchanged for a dizzying array of treasures and opportunities in the camp's treasure vault. The treasures are precious, but the experts on Flaming Battlefield value the opportunities more. The opportunities refer to the caves and mansions belonging to deceased experts, Gu Man explained. Caves and mansions? Jian Wushuang was in a daze. Lei Dao and Shi Ling exchanged glances. The first army commanders had explored an expert's mansion not long ago and had found many treasures and opportunities. The opportunities were eventually seized by the Iron Saber Lord, so they had no idea of what they were. Rumor has it that there are 330 cave mansions on Flaming Battlefield, and all of them were left behind by experts above the Cloud Realm. Really? The 5 were astonished. 330 cave mansions belonging to experts above the Cloud Realm? Yes, this rumor has been verified. It's true, Gu Man smiled. Those mansions could date up to 1,000 years ago. A millennium ago, there was a great and bloodthirsty demon named Di Jing who killed many experts. He massacred numerous domains. His cruelty enraged many and finally spurred many experts into action, who gathered to kill him. However, Di Jing was very highly skilled and had reached the top level of the Cloud Realm. He managed to escape every siege. At last, through a concerted effort, 8 marquises and 322 Cloud Realm experts chased Di Jing to Flaming Mountains. 1,000 years may have passed, but that battle is still praised by people today. It was one of the greatest battles in the history of Divine Land, and it left in its wake desolation and innumerable ruins in Flaming Mountains. All 8 marquises and 322 experts perished in the battle. Di Jing disappeared. He might have died with them. The 5 commanders were stunned by the story. 8 marquises and 322 Cloud Realm experts died fighting Di Jing. How could Di Jing be so terrifying? Before the battle began, the marquises and experts knew that Di Jing was very strong, so they had been prepared for the worst. They established their cave mansions on Flaming Mountains and left their treasures and belongings in them. After the battle ended, many experts explored the mountains to look for the mansions. As time went by, more and more mansions were found. With those valuable mansions scattered around it, Flaming Mountains became a hotly contested spot. In particular, Marquis Piaoxue and Marquis Cangyue have been fighting fiercely for it, as it's located between their domains. The ferocious fighting led to the evolution of the mountains into the flaming battlefield, Gu Man continued. The 5 fell silent when they heard this. They had never imagined that flaming battlefield had so much history. The contents of the 330 cave mansions belonging to the Cloud Realm experts and 8 marquises had tremendous value. All the experts on Flaming Battlefield had come for the mansions. For the last 1,000 years, many of those mansions have been discovered. Close to 100 are now controlled by Marquis Piaoxue. While many of the treasures and opportunities have been seized, there are some that have not been unearthed. For certain mansions, you can get some opportunities as long as you enter them. You'll need battle achievements to enter the mansions. Having heard and understood Gu Man's explanation, the 5 commanders nodded. Battle achievements could be gained by killing enemies or accomplishing certain tasks. The battle achievements could then be exchanged for treasures in the treasure vault or used to enter the cave mansions. The mansions held vast opportunities. The warriors valued opportunities over the treasures. Jian Wushuang had achieved much for his young age because of the opportunities of heavenly creation skill and ancestors' land. In particular, heavenly creation skill had been of the greatest help to him. Gu Man, you said that among the 330 mansions on Flaming Battlefield, Marquis Piaoxue controls close to 100 of them. Does that mean there are many mansions yet to be found? Asked Jian Wushuang. Yes. Gu Man nodded. At present, we have only discovered 200 mansions. The other mansions, including those belonging to 2 marquises, have not been found. Flaming Battlefield covers a vast area and the mansions are deeply hidden, so it's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack. Fortunately, there are many experts on the battlefield. Generally, mansions have been discovered at intervals ranging from 2 to 10 years. However, new discoveries are always accompanied by fierce battles. Jian Wushuang agreed with Gu Man inwardly. Experts would be drawn to newly discovered mansions compared to those that were of common knowledge. Recently unearthed mansions would have more treasures, naturally, experts would fight aggressively for them. While the 5 rushed to Flaming Battlefield, Gu Man continued to feed them with information about their destination. 6 days later, they finally arrived at Flaming Battlefield. Your honors, the campsite of Marquis Piaoxue is below us. Let's get down there, said Gu Man with a smile. The 5 stood in the void and stared down at the huge campsite several kilometers away. From their vantage point, they saw many figures with magnificent aura. After an exchange of nods, they charged down to the campsite. Chapter 404, The Treasure Vault. Chapter 404, The Treasure Vault. As there were numerous experts gathered in the campsite, Jian Wushuang and his 4 commanders attracted little attention. Your honors, these are your ID tokens. Please refine them first. Gu Man explained as he handed them 5 tokens. Those tokens represent your identification and are in the same stage as you, which means stage 2. Each token can only be refined by its owner, so our rivals will not be able to pass themselves off as our men. On Flaming Battlefield, ID tokens claimed from experts you have killed represent your battle achievements. For example, the ID tokens of experts in Stage 2 can be exchanged for 100 battle achievement points. ID tokens of Stage 3 experts can be exchanged for 1000 battle achievement points. As the 5 commanders listened to Gu Man, they refined their tokens. When the refinement was completed, they sensed the aura of the tokens belonging to experts near them. Experts within one camp can sense each other's token. So if I can't sense a token, it must belong to a rival camp. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Jian Wushuang also realized that there was a number inside the token. The number in his token currently stood at 0. This meant that he had obtained 0 battle achievements. Your honors, let me show you our treasure vault. Gu Man continued. The 5 commanders followed Gu Man to the treasure vault. The vault was essentially a big camp, inside which a gray-clothed elder sat with squinted eyes. As they entered the vault, the elder glanced at them and said, "The list of the treasures is beside you. Tell me what you want and pay me the corresponding battle achievement points. You'll receive the items you ask for 3 days later." The elder ignored them after he explained the treasure redemption procedure. The 5 commanders did not take offense at the elder's curtness. They took the list off the table and began to peruse it. The list mentioned various kinds of treasures, each of which required a specified level of battle achievement. Jian Wushuang spotted blood gem on the list with the number 1000 written behind it. I need 1000 points of battle achievement to exchange for 1 blood gem. So expensive. Jian Wushuang groused to himself. Gu Man had just explained how battle achievement points could be earned. Killing a Stage 2 expert would merely earn him 100 battle achievement points. He would need to kill a Stage 3 expert to get 1000 battle achievement points. In other words, 1 blood gem was worth as much as the life of a Stage 3 expert. Luckily, I already have some blood gems and don't need more. Jian Wushuang was relieved. After a cursory look at the list, Jian Wushuang turned his attention to the list of the cave mansions. Marquis Piaoxue controlled a total of 99 mansions. These mansions were closely watched by many experts, and the mansions included those that had belonged to 3 marquises. Different battle achievements were required to enter different mansions. The level of battle achievement required to enter a cave mansion depended on the skill level of the mansion's owner. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up when he read the names of the 3 marquises. One mansion had been left by a marquis named Beima. Marquis Beima had a comprehensive understanding of world origin and had made incredible achievements in it. He had left 3 opportunities in his mansion. Every expert who comprehended world origin would be attracted to them. Jian Wushuang, having comprehended world origin for a long time, naturally hoped that he could explore this mansion. As the 3 marquis mansions were the most precious ones, gaining entry demanded a higher price. The price of a single entry of Marquis Beima's mansion was 100,000 points of battle achievement. Earning 100,000 battle achievement points would require killing 100 experts at Stage 3. Having gone through the lists, Jian Wushuang left the treasure vault sighing. Your honors, it's now time to meet your captain, Sir Axe, Gu Man said. Sir Axe? Lei Dao looked excited. Yes, it's him. Shi Ling smiled. Lei Dao and Shi Ling had been in Iron Saber territory for a long time. They had been on good terms with Sir Axe as the latter had been from the First Army as well before he left for Flaming Battlefield. The 5 commanders followed Gu Man into another camp and saw a burly dark-skinned man drinking alone. The man appeared to be in low spirits. There were 2 origin marks on his exposed arms. Ha, Sir Axe. Lei Dao and Shi Ling laughed heartily when they saw their old friend. The man snapped his head up. Lei Dao, Shi Ling, it's you. Sir Axe. Yan Mo and Bing Yu greeted the man as well. They were acquainted with Sir Axe but did not know him as well as Lei Dao. Among the 5 commanders, Jian Wushuang was the only one who had never met Sir Axe before. Your honors, I gotta go now, enjoy your time here. Gu Man bowed. Gu Man had completed his task to escort the 5 commanders to Flaming Battlefield and to apprise them of information about the battlefield. It was now time for him to leave. Sir Axe, please allow me to introduce Swordsman. He had only recently become a commander and is now here with us, Lei Dao said to Sir Axe. Sir Axe. Jian Wushuang greeted him. Sir Axe nodded at Jian Wushuang and forced a smile. It was evident that Sir Axe was in a foul mood. This was no doubt because he and his team had just encountered an attack on Flaming Battlefield and had suffered a great loss. Sir Axe, what happened to you and your team several days ago? Lei Dao frowned as he asked. Alas. Sir Axe sighed. I'm a total mess. Several days ago, 2 teams attacked us suddenly for no reason while we were doing our own jobs. They seemed to have known that we would be there. We were trapped by them and had no chance to escape. If not for the flaws in their teamwork, we would all have died there. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.